Hey everybody, this is not the second, third episode
of Car Chats,
excuse me. I'm Alex, and this is my friend Peter.
How's it going, folks? Welcome to the third installment of our weekly podcast where we discuss life,
the
art,
culture, art, music, whatever.
Video games, and various things we see cruising the streets of good old Los Angeles. So
this is going to be, compared to other podcasts, this has a wider range of topics all over the board right now.
Yeah, we're going all over the place with this one.
So it's less narrow than the two previous podcasts that we have done.
But I think it will be just as enjoyable in its own fashion. So to start off this podcast, before we get into that new shit, Alex, let's talk about some of that old shit.
Yeah, that's already kind of almost come and gone. I mean, Things never stay mainstream in the news for more than like 2 days now, even less than that. But the MTV Music Awards.
Yep.
And, of course, the only thing on the MTV Music Awards anyone remembers is Miley Cyrus and twerking.
Yeah. Twerking her
Which
butt.
is the new thing now. Which actually kind of on twerking. They're twerking classes now.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, which is why I was really confused when everyone made a big hoot about it, is because twerking's not a new thing, you know? This is what black girls have been doing in rap videos for years now. I mean, years. So I was really confused when everyone started making a big fucking deal about it.
Miley Cyrus is trying to be too black or something.
I mean, no, that's exactly what Miley Cyrus is trying to do. She wants to break out of that Disney pop star mold and try to become a harder edged star in her own self.
Yeah, that's basically what that was all about. It wasn't as... I think it's only shocking because she was once a Disney star. If it had been like... If Kesha had done twerking, no one would have blinked an eye.
I mean, I'm sure Kesha's done worse.
Oh, I'm sure she has.
Yeah, but the reason why we're talking about it now is because we were actually going to talk about it a while back for one of our
first podcast.
Yeah, maybe our first podcast, or whenever it was when this actually occurred. When Miley Cyrus twerking on stage at the MTV Music Video Awards was new shit, and not old shit.
Yep.
But we never got around to it, and I purposely held off on seeing it because I really wanted to save my first viewing for podcast. So hopefully, Alex, you've got your phone on you, right?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think you can?
Yep.
Yeah, just pass that over. I'll try to pull it up.
Yeah, and I've already seen it, and honestly, I mean, I guess people freaked out, but this really isn't new. It's her trying to break into her adult shell, and it's gonna go wrong, because here's I think the whole Miley Cyrus twerking, I guess, scandal, even though I don't think it's really anything controversial at all. Because if we think about it, MTV and controversy is what they do.
What?
MTV and controversy is what they do. I mean, there was Madonna kissing... Who was it? Do you remember who that was? Madonna kissed that one girl.
Was that, Britney Spears, was that her? Was it? I think it was Britney Spears when she had that big old banana python on stage with her.
I mean, and we think about, look at Lady Gaga. She's done more controversial, insane stuff. I mean, we could write a whole chapter about that, but I don't think it's really the biggest deal. I mean, I think what's sad about it is that it's a star's fame slowly crashing. We're seeing the downward spiral. And this happens, like, if we think about in the last 2 decades, the only child star that really made it was Justin Timberlake. He was in the Mickey Mouse Club. He was also a Disney star. What was that, Peter?
I think I found a video, but
it's probably been taken down by copyright laws. But back to, while Peter's looking for that, I'm going to continue going on about my theory, is that these child stars act out to try to become adult, but they just look less professional.
I think I found it.
You're still looking for it?
No, I think I got it.
Well, while he's looking for it, I'm going to continue, ladies and gentlemen. And And we see this now, Miley Cyrus, someone else is also doing something, well, not similar, but acting out and being crazy. That's also Justin Bieber. As all of you guys, anyone who follows culture now, he's doing lots of stupid and idiotic things that even Justin Bieber defenders can't really defend. Like, he peed in that bucket one time. He spat in, do you remember he spat in that DJ's face? Like, he's basically acting like a
I don't... He peed in... Why did he pee in a bucket?
Because, as you know with Bieber, who everyone seems to hate, including myself, that he started hanging out with all these wannabe rapper guys, and him speeding in his Lamborghini, and all that crazy stuff. It's him, like, doing what Miley Cyrus is doing, is trying to act rebel to gain an adult career, except it doesn't work. And I'm about to make a prediction, that both Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus will probably, well, maybe not Miley Cyrus, but Bieber will get arrested for something at some point soon. How long that's going to take, I'm not sure, but with all his antics, like speeding illegally, having weed in his house, which he'll get arrested for something. Because that's just having the spotlight on you means you're more likely to get in trouble.
Alright, I think I've pulled up the video, so without further ado, I'm gonna press play and see this shit for the first time ever. Alright. And let's go.
By the way, I apologize for that sound noise. It probably sounds
She looks
terrible.
like she got shot with a tranquilizer with her tongue sticking out, lolling all over the place. Jesus Christ, man.
She got shot with a tranquilizer.
Yeah, seriously, it looks like she's been tranked and she's... she's like a wild beast trying to stand up and fight off a group of hunters, but it's just fighting against the inevitable, man. Okay, let's
Does
keep
her outfit
going.
look like just like, I'm a stripper, or I'm going to be a stripper one day?
Yeah, it does in her hair. I don't know what she's doing, if she's trying to make it look like she has bear ears or something, since... Teddy bears seem to be the theme that we're going with for this, because... People, if you haven't seen this, she walks out of a teddy bear looking like a tranquilized harlot. That's the best way I can put it. Tranquilized fucking bear harlot. Okay. Continuing.
I feel like I should fill it, so I'm gonna again apologize for that sound. It probably sounds terrible to each and every one of you, but
Yeah.
okay. Also, I want to point out that I don't think she can sing for crap. The look on your face, Peter, is one of the most priceless things I've seen in a while.
I should also add that she has deformed teddy bears on stage with her, dancing alongside her. Dude, this is creepy.
He's creeped out.
This is actually kind of creepy.
I'm sure this is why most of you, well, either most of you thought it was either hot or you thought it was disgusting. If you're older, that anyway. She's trying, you know what, to me, honestly, I don't know if any of you guys, this is my take on it, she's trying to be like kind of like Rihanna a bit.
It does sound a whole lot like a Rihanna song.
That's what I thought my take from it was.
It really
but
sounds
obviously
like
a lot less talented than Rihanna.
Yeah, that's
Which
saying a
isn't
lot.
saying much, because I don't think Rihanna... I mean, Rihanna's not bad, but I don't think there's anything remotely interesting about
she's not a good singer.
No, she's
at all.
not. She
At
really
all.
isn't a good singer. So
Rihanna, outside of her looks, Rihanna doesn't have a whole lot going for her.
no, she really doesn't, does she?
No, not at all, man. Alright, so I guess back to the video.
Whoa. Shit. Oh, by the way, sorry about that. Some girl just ran in the middle of the street on a bicycle, and I almost
Fuck.
ran into her, so...
Alright. Well,
That's it. While we're doing car chats, there will be random interruptions because, as any of you, I don't know if you, for any of you who probably live in like New York or anywhere, you would understand this, but when you're living in a big city, people can't drive. And I've warned this on a previous podcast. I'm sorry to interrupt your great commentary, Peter, but just letting viewers know that this is car chat, so we're doing it while driving in a car, obviously. So I apologize for those interruptions. Anyway.
All right, back to the video.
Yeah, back to the video.
All right. Aw, fuck you, YouTube.
Internet cut out.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait for the rest of it, or do you got enough of the general idea?
I don't know. I heard that Robin Thicke makes an appearance dressed up like Beetlejuice. I kind of want to see that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is weird and kind of disturbing.
Yeah, it
in a way.
is. You know what I think weirds people out, and I've already seen this. So I'm
just
commentating for all of you guys out there. Most of you probably have seen it many times. Is that I think what creeps people out is that because she was a child star, we all feel like we're kind of perverted for watching it. Because we all remember her when she was like 16 and like 13. So I think that's the creepy factor of it. Just a thought I'm putting out there.
I mean, also the fact that she looks like she's been hit with a tranquilizer and is just sort of flailing around on stage too. That's what really did it for me. She's a huge tunk. I mean, a gigantic tunk. It's just creepy just to see it just...
Well, gigantic tongues are creepy to begin with.
Exactly, and it's just creepy to see it all out for us on display and just seeing it sticking out and moving around like it's got a mind of its own, like it's a snake or something. Yeah, that's... Ugh.
You a little creeped out by that?
I am.
I don't blame you. I'm sure many of you were.
I am. This woman disgusts me.
Yeah, and from someone who used to be like the teen, like Disney idol, that just makes it more creepy. Does at least to me.
All right, video's back on, and it's off.
It's not. This internet's really terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, that's how it works.
Wait, it's back. It's back. Hey, Miley Cyrus. What the fuck? All right, so Robin Thicke just made his entrance, and he's wearing that same black and white suit that Beetlejuice used to wear all the time. Yeah, Robin Thicke is wearing it right now, and he looks like Beetlejuice. Oh god. Okay, let's see what Robin Thicke has to say.
Okay, I don't know about you. I don't think Robin Thicke's that bad. Oh man. I know I'm trying to keep this silence from being too long. But yeah, what if you creeped out? Because how old is Robin Thicke? How old is he?
Mid-30s and married, I think.
Yeah, he said he's married in his mid-30s. To me, that put me into the idea of this is really too disturbing. To me, like, and I don't know about you guys, because while he's watching it for the first time, I'm gonna do running commentary on it. But it's a little creepy because he's married. And
yeah, I guess.
Also, I don't think Robin Thicke's bad.
He's also not good, though.
Well, he's not good, but
yeah. Yeah, for me, he's just a middle-of-the-road singer.
If you want to make your career, Miley Cyrus is not the way you want to go, people.
But, yeah, so... there's still some time in this video left, but... you know, besides her entrance, there's really not all that much going on besides her,
I think it's
looking
just
like a
shock
tranquilized
value.
beast. It's not even that shocking, too. It's just...
Yeah.
She's just rubbing her ass on his crotch, really. That's the worst thing that I've seen so far.
Well, people overhype everything, and I think that's honestly what happened, is that it's because she's was a child star. Honestly, I'm going to tell you that to all you guys listening to this, that's why I think everyone flipped out.
Yeah, that's the only reason I can...
Yeah, and because we feel creepy because it's Miley Cyrus. Like, if Justin Bieber did something similar, I'm not even going into more details than that because that'll just creep me out. Nobody would care, because I think that's part of a double standard. Like, I remember back in the day when these 30-year-old women from Beverly Hills, because are like into Justin Bieber and how creepy that is. Isn't that? I think this is the similar type of creep fact. It's a similar type of creepiness, because this person, I remember her when she was on that, what was that show on Disney that she did?
Hannah Montana?
Yeah. And that to me just makes it like, I'm like gonna be arrested for watching this video or something. It's just too, like, it's creepy. That's the only reason I think people freaked out about it. But that's just my take.
Alright, let's see what else happens in the last 2 minutes of this song.
Okay, can we also talk about one thing? That Miley Cyrus isn't really that hot. Can we just say that? I'm going to say that for the record.
Yeah, she's...
really not hot.
nothing special.
Now, see...
Yeah, just like this VMA performance.
Yeah, nothing
Miley
special.
Cyrus is nothing
You would have been
special.
that great if instead of they had Miley Cyrus to put, like, Kate Upton in there. Yeah. You know.
Which one is... Wait, who's Kate? Is Kate Upton the big booby girl who's always trying to sell pizza or something? Or... Wait.
Try to sell pizza.
Or am I thinking of someone else?
I don't know who you're thinking about, but
Has she ever been in a pizza commercial? No, she's
she
definitely...
was on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
A lot of women have been on the Sports Illustrated
she was on it last
swimsuit
year,
edition.
I think.
Oh, yeah, she's the... No, she has big boobies, but I remember she was selling something very specific.
I don't know how you got
For
to
some
pizza, dude.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea either. For some reason, I thought food and then pizza. But,
Pizza.
yeah. You know, it looks like some rappers rapping right now on stage, and kind of don't care all that much anymore. Yeah, this... Besides that opening 15 seconds, there ain't shit happening in this fucking video.
Honestly, I think MTV does this crap on purpose. Like, they were acting like, oh my god, we didn't know it was going to be like this. And I'm like, yeah, you did. Because people got upset, like, all the Parents Television Council. Okay, I'm going to mention them many times because my father works in entertainment, and he frequently, he's a lawyer, so, and he frequently has to deal with this organization. So I will mention them in future episodes. They basically are like family values people, but with TV. And they freaked out. And that's why MTV was like, oh, we didn't know. They always know. Because that's what this is to me, the nail in the and whatever good was left of MTV, which isn't much. But MTV has now become the center of stupid idiocy. I think. Because any of you guys, like, probably I don't know how many of you might be too young, but MTV was once, and for many of you who are probably our age, or maybe in high school, this will be difficult to, comprehend. But MTV used to have quality at one time. At one period in time.
Yeah, the music television. That's right.
Music television. It played music videos. And that's like how, like, TLC used to be the Learning Channel. The channel that has Honey Boo Boo on it, by the way. So.
No, that's, wait, what did you say? Like
TLC?
Oh, yeah, TLC.
It used to be about learning.
The Learning Channel.
And I don't know if Honey Boo Boo is going to cause you to learn anything.
Fucking A.
Alright, so guys, that was Peter's reaction, because I love reaction audio.
And really, it was just an overwhelming amount of disappointment.
Yeah.
Those first 15 seconds had me excited that I was going to see something bizarre and deranged, but... No.
I mean, hell, Lady Gaga does something more bizarre on a Tuesday.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, which is this even compared to Lady Gaga's meat outfit she wore, like, 2 years ago?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's just not... It's nowhere close. It's not even, like... Any more thoughts, or you just kind of just got, like, so... You look like you just got really let down, Peter.
I was really let down, but... Because I wanted to see... Because of all the controversy generated, I was hoping that it would actually be something, controversial.
Yeah, I know.
In some sort of
Honestly,
regard.
Janet Jackson's boob slip at the Super Bowl a few years ago was more controversial than this stuff. Even our it seems like even, you know how we have standards are lower? Even controversy standards are lower now.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That.
I mean, and this is, I think, what's happened of, like, our standard of what's controversial, like, have really been watered down. And I think this is part of the whole watering down. Like, if you guys remember, we're going to talk about old school rap, I'm sure. Like, you remember, like, old school Eminem, Busta Rhymes, Tupac? Like...
What did you say?
You just ignored everything I said.
No, did you say Tupac?
Oh, shit. Oh, that came out so wrong! Oh, no. I'm not gonna hear the end of that.
Two-pack shaker.
Shut up. Oh,
Nice.
that did not... Okay, that came out very, very, very wrong.
That did not...
Those words did not come out correctly. I'm sorry, even though I'm just gonna get tons of crap from everybody from saying that.
Oh, man. Two-pack.
Damn it. That didn't come out right. Okay.
But while we've pretty much said everything we've wanted to say about Miley Cyrus and her twerking, it's dumb, it's boring. Black girls have been doing this in rap videos for forever, right?
Yeah,
forever.
like, honestly, we need to calm down about what's controversial. I think we get too, like, we're becoming, I think, just too politically correct now. Not that being politically correct is bad, but I think it's getting a little stupid, guys. It's getting just a little bit. And also, I think that is the main thing that everyone remembers from this MTV Movie Awards is about, to me, a decline in music. But that's a whole nother topic. Definitely we will do a music podcast at some point in the future. Alright, so...
Okay,
what do you want to...
but while we're done talking about Miley Cyrus, after the twerking controversy, I decided to do some digging, and this was actually brought up on a podcast that I like to listen to. It's Let's Do This by the Spill Crew. If you haven't heard of them, check them out, because they are hilarious. But when they were talking about Miley Cyrus, they talked about what I think is truly one of the most insane ass-related things I've ever seen in my life.
Now, this is a video I haven't seen, so we're kind of flipping it.
Okay,
Peter will be commenting while I'm watching, and I will be watching this video. And
I don't want to overhype it.
How would you describe it, Peter?
I'm not even going to describe it. All that I'm going to say, Alex, is I don't want to overhype it, but you might actually want to pull over so that you can actually see. So you can actually watch this video. Am I going to need
to pull over to do this?
I think so, because it's crazy.
How, like, in the most insane level of crazy, like, ever?
Yeah,
right.
I guarantee you've never seen a butt do this before. Alright.
Really? Alright.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. Got it cranked up. Hopefully this will work. But pretty much all that I looked up on YouTube is Brazilian butt dance. Let's go.
Oh, I'm already excited.
Okay, just to give you the setup, this man is sitting on his butt, his legs stretched out in front of him, so really he's just sitting on the floor. His arms are, he's got his arms on the ground behind him, just sort of so that he can sit up. And there's a woman just dancing around him right now, showing her goods right now. So it's really nothing out of the ordinary at this point, but then it gets a bit crazier.
Uau! What the fuck? Oh my god, people. This is crazy. Oh my.
Okay, now.
Oh my god.
Okay, now I have to explain the setup now. So, after she danced around his head for a bit, she put her feet on his shoulders, and she's got her arms stuck out in front for just so that she can pretty much pick herself up off the ground. And then she starts ramming her ass into his face. I mean, hard and fast too. Like, this guy is he's getting a serious beating right now. His face is probably a bit bruised.
Dude,
he's probably gonna get a concussion after this.
Honestly, this is seems like twerking to the this makes Miley Cyrus just look dwarfs it.
It's nothing.
You think that was crazy?
Yeah, this is actually an ass video that people should be talking about.
This is like the Oh, we gotta keep going.
Yeah, and there's still more. That's the other thing.
Oh my god, we're not even close to being done.
Yeah, we
yet.
haven't even seen a minute of this video.
What the hell? Oh my god. This is crazy, guys.
Alright,
oh my god.
In old cartoons like the Looney Tunes, when someone gets in the Looney Tunes when someone gets that anvil dropped on their head and they have that crazy smile with their tongue sticking out and they're just sort of like,
what the hell was that noise?
I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
right?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, that's the look on the man's face in this video.
Dude, he's definitely getting a hard on right there.
Yeah, he looks so lost and confused, but at the same time so happy and content with everything that's going on in his life.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just...
is there anything different in the rest of the video, or...?
No.
There's a little... Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much...
Okay, that was interesting. See, what is the title? Do you know what the actual title of the video is? Because I want people listening to actually see this for themselves.
It's... Oh, shit, what's it called? Info,
What?
The video is called Ass Shaking Monday.
Yeah, that's okay. Ass Shaking Monday. If you thought Miley Cyrus was twerking, this is how the Brazilians do it. This makes me want to go to Brazil now.
Yeah, and it's called, song's called Sura de Bunda? Sura de Bunda, yeah. I think that's what the lady was saying in that song. Also, I'm not sure if you listen to the music, but how crazy was that song that they were playing
Yeah.
while she was, slamming
Well,
her
it's probably
ass into his
Portuguese.
face.
Not that I can understand what any of it meant, but
Yeah, but I mean just the sound, just the actual sounds. The wee, 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 wee.
Yep.
Before she actually started ramming her ass into his face.
Yep. Basically, it's a woman ramming an ass into some dude's face, which I'm sure that guy was enjoying every minute of that.
I mean, I can say I've never.
What was the video name again?
Ass Shaking Monday.
Ass Shaking Monday. Look it up. You want to see what a real twerking is? That's it.
Yeah, it's not twerking. It's not twerking, but it's something that's much crazier than twerking.
Much crazier than twerking, and with this Brazilian chick that's 10 times hotter than Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
So that's just a win and a win right there.
Definitely a booty video worth talking about.
Yeah.
Far more so than that Miley Cyrus disappointment that we just watched.
Exactly. Well, yep. Definitely. Alright, now that we've done our video sharing of the day.
Oh man, that dude's... I bet he definitely got pink eye after that.
He definitely got pink eye.
That's my bet.
Yep.
Because I mean, he was looking straight down her. She was looking straight down her booty hole. Even if you do wipe a whole lot, you're not gonna get all of it.
I was surprised that guy broke his nose or something in the middle of the video.
I mean, I'm sure his brain is broken after fucking that happened to him.
If any guy probably would be happy to have their brain broken to experience that, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to go through that.
No, you'd have to be pretty, actually, I don't know. I don't think if us guys to participate in that, there'd be a long line out the door for that.
Yeah, I guess just to say that you've done it before, or not say that you've done it, but that something like that has happened to you before.
I wonder if, strippers all started doing that.
Yeah. I don't know, strippers have standards. I don't think they'd be really down to
do that, yeah.
Ram their butt in someone's face.
That is in Brazil.
Yeah.
It almost makes me want to go and see Brazil now.
Because hey, you know what? If stuff like that is happening in Brazil, what else is going on?
Yeah, what is going on that isn't in the public view? That's the interesting question. Because whenever you see in the culture, there's always something crazier outside the public view.
Oh yeah. And with that question, we will move on.
Yep, on that.
What the hell else is going on in Brazil?
And we will leave you with that interesting thought.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to something that's you know what? I was going to say a bit more serious, but it's something that's definitely more serious. Is
anything's more serious than a Miley Cyrus video? That isn't that hard.
And also that Brazilian ass video.
And that Brazilian. Anything's more serious than a Brazilian ass video, Peter.
But yeah, recently though, moving on to something that's more serious. Oh, there's your there's your phone. But yeah, J.K. Rowling recently announced that she's working on a Harry Potter spin-off series.
Yes.
Based on
a fictional textbook that was in Harry Potter. It was briefly mentioned. It's basically a book about all those magical beasts that you remember seeing, like leprechauns and all that. All those it was basically the textbook on all those random beasts that you read in the books or saw in the movies, like those giant spiders, which probably everybody remembers the best, unless you're a huge Harry Potter fan, which happens to be me.
Also,
I don't know whether I should be ashamed of that or not, but
Dude, it's Harry Potter. Don't be
sorry.
sorry.
A lot. That was like the books I read all of them while flying and being stuck in airports. So that's how I read all of them.
Hey, don't be sorry about your Harry Potter fandom, dude.
Yes, I know Harry Potter probably to an insane degree, but they're making a sequel, which is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a sequel. It's a spin-off. Yeah. Do you remember the actual name of the book?
It's called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think that's the name.
Yeah. So anyway, this spin-off series, I believe it's a movie, and J.K. Rowling is writing it, and it's going to be based on the exploits of the author of the book. I don't remember his name.
I'm trying to remember. I think his name is Newt Salamander.
Yeah, I remember something Salamander.
That sounds about right to me. But so, that's very interesting. Whether that's a good idea is going to be up to many people. So, because here's the reality of J.K. Rowling. She's now like a billionaire, pretty much. She's like really the richest author in the world. So she never needs to write anything ever again. She could just take Harry Potter royalties, which include the Harry Potter amusement park that's at Universal Studios now. So she doesn't really need to do it. So here's the problem I've noticed, and this is going to be a challenge to her, is that she knows nothing she can write is going to live up to everything she's written before. So hopefully that's kept in mind.
But, I mean, that hasn't stopped her from writing. If you remember, she wrote a crime novel that was supposed to be really, really good under a pen name.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that
was released.
That got leaked accidentally.
So, I mean, with J.K. Rowling, it's not like Harry Potter was a one-off thing.
Yeah, she clearly has talent in writing.
Yeah, she's not a one-hit wonder. She's a great writer, so...
Yeah, she'll continue.
So I think that she could definitely do something interesting with it. I'm just not sure if... I just don't really have all that much interest in the topic that she is dealing with for her next project.
Yeah, I really don't either. And I love Harry Potter, but it just doesn't interest me. Like, I mean, it has a high chance of being good. If I hear good things about it, I'll definitely buy it and take a look at it. But just think about living up to hype is one of the hardest things any writer of any medium, movie, book, ever has to live up to. And to make a comparison, I talk about the prequels to Lord of the Rings. Or just the most famous prequel failures with Star Wars. This is like, J.K. Rowling's doing a spin-off and not a prequel, so it's different, but when you're doing something like, basically, I guess it's a spin-off, but we can call it a sequel to Harry Potter. Though that's technically not what it is. The hype and the expectation level is very high, and maintaining that is very hard. Like Star Wars, like when he made the new series, the original Star Wars movies are some of the most famous movies ever. I mean, even sci-fi. And they were a huge disappointment. But then again, there's the Hobbit prequels to Lord of the Rings movies, which are probably the most money-making trilogy of the 2000s, probably. And will be for a while.
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And the first Hobbit movie's done well. The next one's coming out in December. So there is a chance that J.K. Rowling could do very well with this book. And it's just that a book that's really based on an author who wrote about different magical creatures would be difficult to be interesting. I think. It's just a very...
I agree with you. I really don't know what she's going to do with this film that she's writing.
Oh, it's a film?
Yeah, I think it's a movie.
Film.
Actually,
I thought you thought it was a book. Is it a book or is it a film?
I believe it's a movie. I pulled up the story on my phone. Just let me check.
Because that changes the equation. If it's a book, there's a higher probability she could do well. If it's a movie, that's going to make it infinitely times harder to do. Because movies have, I think, higher expectations than books do.
Yeah, this comes from Entertainment Weekly. J.K. Rowling and Warner Brothers announced new movie franchise set in Wizarding World. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm not surprised.
That she will adapt her Hogwarts textbook, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, into a cinematic adventure about that book's fictitious author, Newt Scamander.
Scamander?
Scamander.
Oh, I thought it was Salamander. Wow.
Talk about the most fucking made-up wizard fantasy bullshit name ever. Scamander.
Okay, that's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure Warner Brothers, knowing how much money they made off Harry Potter movies, probably pressured her or paid her a lot of money to do a new one. But setting all that aside, that's going to be hard. Because what I'm sure they're going to do is they're going to tie in the other actors somehow. They're going to be cameos somehow.
Well, they talk about some of the film's details.
What do we got so far?
Let's see.
Let's just read it part of the story out loud.
So this is coming from the mouth of Miss Rowling herself. Although it will be set in the worldwide community of witches and wizards where I was so happy for 17 years, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is neither a prequel nor a sequel to the Harry Potter series, but an extension of the wizarding world. The laws and customs of the Hidden Magical Society will be familiar to anyone who has read the Harry Potter books or seen the films. But Newt's story will start in New York, 70 years before Harry's gets underway.
Oh, that's interesting. Being in New York, that's different.
New York, baby.
See, why that's interesting. Okay, that interests me now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Whenever just saying New York, I had to throw in some Ja Rule in there as well.
Okay, now I'm interested, and because in the book, and this is me because having a Harry Potter encyclopedia knowledge in my brain, they've mentioned, because as you know with the Harry Potter series, it's all in place in England, which is where Rowling's from. But there are references to different wizards in multiple countries.
Yeah, so I guess
there's a lot that could be done there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right approach, because if you're doing a spin-off, you want the connection to what's your most popular work.
Yeah, look at Tesla.
Nice. Because spin-offs, Peter got distracted by Tesla. It's a shiny Tesla, Peter.
Yeah. Dude, let's fucking take it.
Tesla?
Yeah, let's speed up to that guy. You see all this traffic, he's not going to be able to go anywhere.
Want to go Grand Theft Auto on his Tesla over there?
Yeah, well, I mean, the game comes out in a couple of days, so...
Oh, yeah,
we might as well get psyched for it by, committing an actual GTA.
Doing a GTA to celebrate GTA. Way to go.
I think that's how Rockstar would have wanted it.
Yep, yeah. That is.
So I'm sorry about that. What were you saying before?
No, I'm just thinking that she's doing a spin-off. See, my take on doing a spin-off, because a spin-off is always a spin-off is based on something super popular. And you have to keep the connection to the very popular thing at a minimum. It's why I think, and as a part of, I'm going larger picture here, that spin-offs are better than sequels. I think more studios need to do spin-offs to sequels. Because if you're doing a spin-off, you're not bound by the hype of what came before, to simply put it. Because with a sequel, a sequel to a really popular movie, there's a lot more pressure on you. Because then if it's if it's too not similar to the previous movie, viewers will be angry.
I also feel like with sequels and spin-offs is that the key thing that each one has to do is to expand the universe that was already created in place. If it can't do that, if it can't add an extra dimension or dig a bit deeper, then there's no point in doing it. But it does sound like that J.K. Rowling's actually going to be able to do that with this side project, because I think going to the U.S., especially back in time, is going to be very interesting, because you're going to see a different wizarding culture.
Yeah.
Outside of contemporary English wizardry. And that could be interesting to see how things are in the wizarding world in a different time period and in a different country. I think that could be interesting.
Yep, and I think there's a lot more. I think she's taking a setting that gives her more creative flexibility. Like, there could be, they don't use owls. That would be, and, they could change and tweak the rules a bit. Where are the secret magical places are. There's a lot. I really hope they don't do some Empire State Building crap. I mean, it's probably, I guarantee there's going to be, a secret wizarding thing in the Empire State Building somehow. Why do I have a feeling that that's going to already happen? If you had to pick, I don't know, maybe, or I'm just, doing creative brainstorming, but, there's definitely going to be, a wizarding teleporting device in the Statue of Liberty somehow.
Oh, and this Entertainment Weekly article also posted a fictional biography of Scamander. It says, yeah.
That's such a sci-fi name, a name that doesn't sound like anybody.
A goddamn made-up fucking fantasy name. But Scamander has long been... Actually, did you play Dishonored? Another tangent, sorry folks. Did you play Dishonored?
No. You keep telling me to, and I need to get it.
Okay. No, I'm bringing up Dishonored because the protagonist's name in that game is Corvo Atano, and the moment I heard that, my first thought was, that is the most bullshit fucking made up
Sci-fi
fantasy video game name I've ever heard ever.
Yep. And this one sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and for some reason, whenever someone mentions his name in that game, I just get angry because it's
such a bad name.
such a bad name. Alright, sorry about that. But, so back to Scamander's fictional biography. Scamander has long been part of the Potter universe, ever since he got a brief mention in the first book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. One of Hogwarts' esteemed former headmasters, his image occasionally popped up in the wizarding school's living portraits. Scamander had been an expert magizoologist, a student of magical creatures ever since a childhood fascination with hippogriffs, and he went on to work for the Ministry of Magic. Beginning in 1918, he spent nearly a decade researching and writing fantastic beasts, traveling to every corner of the globe in his spare time to research the wizarding world's most fascinating creatures. And that is who Newt Scamander is.
Okay, based on that, I'm going to make predictions about the movie.
Go ahead.
Every monster that we saw in the Harry Potter universe is going to come back somehow.
Somehow, some way.
The giant spiders will be there. The hippogriffs will be there too. And probably the house elves will be there also.
Yeah. Just like how every single MacGuffin in the entire Harry Potter series pops up in the last book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there'll be things. I'm sure there's going to probably be like, I don't know if how they're gonna work a cameo, but I'm sure there'll be a cameo.
Yeah, somehow, some way.
Somehow there's going to be a cameo.
Yeah.
How it's gonna work, I don't know. I'm thinking there could be a Dumbledore cameo, because I don't know how old he actually is. So there might be a Dumbledore cameo somewhere in there. Just throwing a prediction out into the wind right there. But there could be a lot. I mean, if it's in 1918, that'll be interesting. Like 1920s New York with magic. And here's like the interesting thing. Like Harry Potter interests me. Harry Potter is the most banned book in the United States right now. I don't know if you know this, Peter. Because wizards and many religious groups don't like magic.
Yeah.
And
it goes against their magic, Alex.
Okay, and let me make a huge point about that. And this is where I'm going to get into angry Alex mode and hopefully not use that much foul language. But
go ahead.
That's really fucking stupid.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I get your beliefs and I respect that. And my grandparents are very religious, but there's a point where we're getting too dumb. Like, it's less about magic in the books and more about people and people. Like, it's not like, how can you believe in that? Like, magic, really? Where are we living in the 21st century or like medieval Europe? And I know there are going to be probably people protesting it, but, and I get, like, respect your beliefs, but to me there's always there's a point where I say, come on, are you serious?
Also, the other thing that bothered me about the controversy surrounding the Harry Potter series is that for years, parents had always been complaining that their kids don't read enough, and then the moment their kids find a series that they actually like and want to read, they try to ban them.
I know, that was I think the height of stupidity. Like, you finally got your kids to read something, and now you don't want them reading it. Like,
yeah,
that's just something I will never understand.
Yeah.
And this is me having been around the really religious people and not. I don't get it. I really don't.
And neither do I. So, I guess now that we've sort of gotten our views on the Harry Potter spin-off out of the way.
I'm just mentioning it because I know it's going to come up probably at some point when the movie gets closer to release date. I could be wrong and it might not come up at all, but that's just one of those Harry Potter controversies. And again, like when we just talked about Miley Cyrus, controversies that aren't controversies at all. We gotta stop. I think that word's getting over exhausted.
as I like to say, let's get some real fucking problems.
All right, angry rant over. Back to the movie now.
So I've pretty much said everything that I want to say about this
I'm
Harry
gonna put it
Potter
out for.
spin-off.
I know probably for all Harry Potter fans will see it no matter what on midnight. I'm sure there's gonna be a huge big midnight deal whenever it comes out. Which if it's written now, I'm guessing it'd be about 2 years. But I'm wondering if it's coming out a little bit too late. Because all the books are done, all the movies are done. Is it too late?
That's a good point too, and that was something I was actually thinking of. Where maybe instead of returning back to the Harry Potter universe.
What?
Did you see that man jogging in the sports
Yeah.
bra?
I did that. Yeah.
Anyway, people. So while we were talking, a man in a neon turquoise sports bra just ran
This
right
older
past
guy,
us.
looked like he was in his 70s too.
Yeah, but he was super buff though, which is really weird.
Yeah, he was super buff.
But yeah, anyway, old man
Yeah,
in a neon turquoise sports bra running past us. You see all kinds of things in the city.
I want to do a podcast about walking a day in Venice Beach.
Well, where we just walk around and just comment on the shit we see.
I'm sure some of you not from LA know this, but Venice Beach is like the capital of weird in LA. It's where all the weird is focused on. It's a stretch of beach where, well, it's known for having its stoners and known for weed, which is true. Because in California, in this state anyway, there's medical marijuana, so all of it's all there. But it's more than just that. You see everything in Venice Beach, and we will definitely, because we will definitely have listeners that are not from LA, we will have to describe Venice Beach. And there's some good food down there too. There will be a restaurant we will do in our other food podcast. Which, by the way, watch it, because we're going to be talking about LA dives. And back to, with that shameless plug, back to what we were talking about. Okay, yeah. Well, I was wrapping up our J.K. Rowling book. For non-Harry Potter fans, I'd wait to see a trailer, but I think that for those of you who aren't a hardcore fan, there's a chance that I wouldn't rule it out just yet. There's a chance it'll be enjoyable.
I'll say personally that a lot of time has passed already since the books and the movies, and I feel like, I don't know about you, but I've pretty much moved on from Harry Potter at this point.
Yeah, I am.
So when I heard that J.K. Rowling's next project would be a Harry Potter spin-off series, I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah,
because she's already established herself as an author who can write all kinds of interesting stories. So I was kind of hoping that she would keep doing that and just keep telling different stories instead of trying to...
No, but I'm sure it's a movie. I'm sure Warner Brothers is giving her a huge amount of money to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's how studios are. But yeah, it's just, we wanted to bring that up. And whether people will care whenever it comes out, that remains to be seen. Which I'm guessing will probably be 2014 or 2015.
Yeah,
Like that.
Yeah, so now that we're done talking about J.K. Rowling, how do you feel about spin-offs in general? We kind of talked about it already, but just sort of to put it out there more explicitly, I guess.
I like the idea of spin-offs because to me, spin-offs it's like a sequel, but without the problems that sequels have. Because many of you know, and it's kind of become cliche now, that great movies often have crappy sequels. I'll give you there's some very famous examples. The Godfather. While the sequels weren't bad, they're just sequels that were just a lot lower in quality. Jaws. Any of the many sequels of Jaws.
Holy shit, wow, yeah, Jaws.
Jaws. That is another very classic example.
Also, The Matrix.
The Matrix is another one with one of the... It's actually, the first Matrix is on the top 100 movies of all time. And I don't know what list, who wrote the list, but
Probably IMDb, is that the list you're talking about?
I don't know if not IMDb, I'll remember the name, but I'm sure it would be on the IMDb list, because it did new things in motion capture and technology.
I mean, the thing I don't like about IMDb's list is that it's mostly based on popularity and user votes, and
yeah,
I don't really trust users, I guess.
I don't
is
trust
what I'm trying to
popular
say.
vote. Remember, Justin Bieber was popular at one point.
Yep.
My confidence in popular vote has diminished. But those are the sequels that to a movie that was so popular when it came out back in '99, and how like it was a big deal back then, and how how bad the sequels were. So sequels are notoriously bad, and people are always afraid that their great movie is going to be ruined by a crappy sequel. I am. I'm sure many of you feel the same way about sequels just ruining the greatness or tainting it. And I think spin-offs solve that, because spin-offs are they don't have the pressure sequels do. Like, if you have a sequel to, the sequels to Iron Man, I'm sure those writers were under pressure that, oh my god, we gotta keep enough of the stuff that made the first one great, but doing something new. The balance of keeping the stuff people loved versus doing new, I think that balance is very difficult to do. And I think that's why, in a spin-off, you're connected to the material that people have loved, but it gives you the creative license and the creative freedom to do more fresher ideas. That's just my take on it. And I think that's a great advice. I think Hollywood, because many people think Hollywood's run out of ideas, and I've said it. I know you've said it too, Peter. I'm sure many of you listening think the same thing. That especially with now people with a One Direction and a Bieber movie, I'm sure a majority of people now are like, oh no, we've run out of when we're doing Bieber movies, we're running low on ideas. And a One Direction movie. Makes me angry thinking about it. But I think a spin-offs is the solution to the problem of like not fresh ideas or too risky ideas, or because movies are getting more expensive, so studios don't want to take gambles. So they keep doing sequels because they're afraid of taking risks, and I think spin-off will allow studios to be kind of more secure in the money that they're risking, but also giving fresher ideas that audiences want to see. Okay, that was my really long take on that.
Yeah, which is interesting because I actually kind of feel the opposite about spin-offs.
Really?
For the most part, yeah. For the most part, I see them more as just an easy way to cash in on a known property to make easy money. I mean, honestly, that's how I see spin-offs for the most part. Not all of them, but usually I just see it as.
I don't say they're not a cash-in, but I think that do you think sequels don't have that same problem?
No, I think sequels do, and my thing is that, spin-offs and sequels, there's not a whole lot of difference in them, in my opinion.
I agree. You know what, that's a good point, but I think, and I wish there were more fresh original ideas. Like, in the last 3 years or 4, Inception was one of my favorite movies, because it was a brand new idea, out of the blue, that nobody had ever heard of. And the story behind it, and I'm sure most of you saw Inception, but the only reason that, and it was a big hit when it came out. It was like, that summer, it was like, everyone must see Inception. But here's the backstory to it, which I don't know if a lot of people know. The only reason Christopher Nolan actually came up with Inception and the script for it several years ago, like pre-Dark Knight.
I mean, he came up with the idea for the movie when he was 16.
Oh, really? Was that young?
Yeah,
that's even longer than I thought. But when he became more of an established director, no studio, because the concept was so out there for lack of a better word, that no studio would take that risk until he was so established enough with the Batman movies and how much money he made that after the Dark Knight Rises, they're like, all right, we'll do your movie. But I mean, the thing is, fresh ideas only can come, or studios, because I would love all original ideas. Let me focus my point more. But I'm also thinking, how do we get fresher ideas, keeping in mind the business of the industry, which is annoying. I hate that there are no fresh ideas. Now you probably hate them too. But we gotta, you gotta keep things in how the business works in order to me, realistically get more ideas. That things like Inception only come from directors that studios feel super comfortable with. If Steven Spielberg comes with a crazy idea, studios will latch onto it in an instant. And I'm disappointed Spielberg hasn't done more. But I think spin-offs are the only realistic way that, while they are cash-ins, and no one's denying that, I think they're the only way I see that fresh ideas will get added into the movie world.
That's true, and I'm glad that you brought up the business aspect about it, because that's a big problem of mine with spin-offs, which is, in my opinion, spin-offs are a studio decision. They're a business decision, not an artistic decision made by the creators and writers and directors of these various projects. And for me, that's disappointing. That's really disappointing, which I think... did you see The Lone Ranger? You didn't see The Lone Ranger movie.
No.
I mean, when you
it's
see...
horrible.
Yeah,
and
but when you see The Lone Ranger, you'll see that the movie's all over the fucking place because it was a studio project. There's absolutely no artistic vision behind it.
Oh.
So it was an absolute fucking mess.
Oh,
And that's what happens when you let studios and business completely dominate.
Oh, I agree, and I think that is a problem. I'm not denying that it isn't. Another example of that is the Green Lantern movie. The only thing, doing that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively got married. That was the only thing that happened as a result of the movie. But it was terrible. But yeah, studios, I think that is a bigger problem, that studios do control movies too much. And I think that has to do with how expensive movies are to make now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which is shutting out independent films, which to me is a huge disappointment on a larger note. I just think that with spin-offs and sequels, like how many... And I don't know how many spin-offs have been done. I don't think there are a lot of movies that have been spin-offs. At least there are none big named ones that come to my head. But I think with sequels, like... Spin-offs are corporate bound, and you're correct. I believe you're right about that. I agree with you. There's no question, but I think with sequels, there's a higher, and this is kind of, maybe this makes it my whole argument kind of weaker, or diminishes it a bit, but I think with sequels, you have a higher probability of the movie being bad, as opposed to a spin-off. Yeah, they're both corporate control, but I think with a spin-off, there's a higher chance of artistic vision still able to exist.
Yeah, because you're still telling an original story just within the same universe.
Yeah,
I mean, usually.
Because with a sequel, you're bound to the main character everybody loves, the sidekicks, and like I said, keeping that original without doing new things. And we've seen that mess up bad, like Matrix Reloaded. When they tried to do the slow motion fight scenes and they ended up just being awful. I don't know if you remember that movie, but some of the compared to the first movie, it was like they had a completely different director. The Wachowski, it was like it wasn't even the Wachowski brothers. It was like they took it over to some other director.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think that's an overall larger problem.
Yeah. Another problem I have with spin-offs is that, and it's also something with sequels, especially for a project that's either considered or wasn't intended to have a sequel or a spin-off, is that usually they don't know what the fuck to do with it.
Yeah, there's no forward direction. That is a good point, though.
Yeah, and that's where problems start to arise, when you just have no idea what you're trying to do with the project that you're making.
I mean, that should be this will never happen, but that should be a Hollywood rule. There can only be sequels / spin-offs, because they're kind of in the same category, to movies that have the ability to move forward. Because if you do a movie, and this often happens with movies that no one expects to be great, and they become, big hits, and they try to do a sequel, and there's nowhere to go. The Hangover.
No, I've got the perfect one.
Well, I was thinking of The Hangover.
Okay.
Because remember, the sequel was just a repeat of Hangover. It was like cooking it was like cooking a meal, and then the sequel was like The Leftovers, and then the third movie was like The Leftovers after they've gone bad.
Okay.
To use a metaphor.
All right. The Hangover is actually that's a better example than the one I was thinking of, because it's a much more contemporary and pertinent example. The one that popped up in my head was Meet the Parents.
Yes.
Do you remember? Did you ever see those little fucking fuckers.
No, I
little
saw the
Fockers
original
movie?
Meet the Parents, but never watched the sequels to it.
They were absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, like a dog shit burrito in a fucking elephant turd or something. I don't know. Just bad. Just bad to the point where you're angry after you see them.
Yeah, and that's true.
And that's
it
because
almost ruined Ben Stiller in my brain.
And that's because Meet the Parents was a one-off comedy. That was a good comedy because they had an idea of what the fuck they were doing. For those sequels, they had no goddamn idea.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Actually, I think even though less probably remembered by a lot of people, I think a more extreme example of sequels going very, very wrong. And yeah, exactly. The only thing, but I think that with original ideas can still go very wrong.
Oh yeah.
But we should not forget that, like, every movie by Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer. And for you guys who don't know, we're gonna really talk trash about them, I'm sure, more times whenever we're in a trash talking mood, but
you're gonna have to get me drunk for that episode.
You guys remember Epic Movie, Date Movie, Meet the Spartans, Disaster Movie, those really crappy parody movies? Yeah. And they're basically, call them even directing is an abomination to film. Like, there should be they make Adam Sandler look like an Academy Award director. Anyway, and I just wanted to get that out there, because I'm sure I'll throw in down references to them many more times in the future. But, I mean, I just kind of talking about the spin-offs, I just think spin-offs have a chance of being better. And, I don't remember, until this J.K. Rowling movie, I can't think of another spin-off unless one comes to your mind.
Yeah, there is one that I was actually thinking of on the topic of spin-offs in general, and you don't watch Breaking Bad, right?
I've never watched the whole series, but I've watched a few episodes here and there.
Okay, did you get to the point where they introduced a character by the name of Saul Goodman?
Yeah.
Okay, they're planning a spin-off series based on Saul Goodman called Better Call Saul. And I'm kind of nervous about it, but at the same time I was thinking about it, and I read one great theory about how that they could make a Saul spin-off series really interesting, where it's a later episode, but there's a point where Saul gets a phone call from, I think, Walt or Jesse, one of them, and it's an important call, so he's going all over his office trying to find the phone. So he pulls open this drawer, and you see that this drawer is filled with what looks to be about 20 different cell phones. And he's digging through all these phones to try to find the one that he uses to talk to Walt and Jesse. And then he finally finds it, and, he talks to them. And what I was thinking was, who are those other people? Because that Saul's a shady lawyer.
Yeah.
He's into all kinds of shady things, so I thought,
yeah.
Who's on the other end of those other phones? And what if that someone's doing something that's even crazier than what Walt's doing?
And I think a shady lawyer, because everyone hates everybody hates lawyers cliche, and having a show about a shady lawyer like Saul would be, I think it has potential.
Yeah, and especially for a character like Saul, I'd say he's the comic relief character in that show, and he's actually a funny, well-written character. I think a spin-off could actually work.
Yeah, I think it could too.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have I think spin-offs only work on a show where there's you have to have a very clever minor character.
Yeah. But that's what I was thinking of for that whole episode. Just what if that there was someone out there who's working with Saul, who is doing something that makes Walt and Jesse's meth operation look normal in comparison.
Oh, and maybe I think that could bring spin-offs into the mainstream. Having a spin-off of a great show, and if it does well. Because another spin-off, that was a great point you brought up. The new Marvel is doing a spin-off.
Oh yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm going to say spoiler alert, because for those who haven't seen the Avengers, which I'm sure it's very few people, but I always just like to say it anyway. Just in case, because people get angry. But, as you remember in the Avengers, spoiler already put out there, he dies, but according to the show, he's not dead somehow. Which is great, personally. Even though him die, it kind of makes the death in the Avengers a little less bad now in hindsight. But
on the plus side, we get more Agent Phil Coulson.
Because Clark Gregg kind of was the actor who played Coulson. Coulson, to me, I guess we're switching into Marvel now that I've we're going to talk more now, bring our Marvel topics back in. But speaking about this just for a moment, that I loved Phil Coulson. He's maybe one of my favorite characters because he really, when they did the movie continuity, which was masterfully done, he was the character who was the continuity driver. He appeared in all the Iron Man movies, Thor movies, and
yeah, he kind of formed the glue that allowed for them to make the Avengers,
which is great. And it's always in a superhero world having a badass normal guy. There's a video that was on the extras on one of the DVDs. I think Iron Man or Thor DVD, Iron Man 2 or the Thor DVD, like on the way to Thor's hammer. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's oh my god, you should watch it. Where Phil Coulson is stopping to get donuts at a gas station, and armed robbers come in. It's pretty cool, and he just basically beats them up and acts like NBD, and then just grabs his donuts and walks away.
Nice.
He's a badass character, and the coolest secret agent-like character that I've seen in quite some time. So he's the star of a show, which, being a Marvel fan, I'm very excited, and we'll be watching that pilot when it comes out, actually, the end of September, two weeks from now.
Woohoo!
So, getting on spin-offs of Breaking Bad, there's a spin-off that's coming out right now. So that could be interesting to see. Also it's written, I think it's either written or produced by Josh Whedon. Which, again, more good news right there. So there's a spin-off that they're deciding to do. I was just talking about spin-offs that, if that does well, and the Breaking Bad one does well, we could be seeing more spin-offs happening. Because it's connected to the original material by the one character, both who are very interesting minor characters that are popular, and they have room to grow. So, just kind of bring that, there's one that I will also be writing and talking about this show in the future, because I will watch it. But there's one I think that has a potential to be good. I don't know if you've seen any trailers for it.
For Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I have.
What do you think of it?
I think it's definitely got potential, and I really want to see if it actually lives up to that potential.
But okay, no, I'm sorry. Were you gonna cut you off right there?
No, that's it. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of analysis.
I just thought
for
of
it,
it's interesting. It's having a bunch of normal humans, and there looks like there's a guy who jumps from building and looks like he crashes really hard. So I think there are going to be some super-powered elements because it's a Marvel show, so of course there are going to be people with different powers. And whether they'll connect back into the future movies is another question I heard somebody bring up. So whether they're going to build that show, if it becomes popular, will they twist in the movies, and how that's going to work is an interesting question. But here's why I think is scary of a spin-off, and why. Because here's another spin-off speaking of spin-offs, that has actually been canceled now. Because the first real spin-off before these two was the Cleveland show.
Oh yeah, the Cleveland show, which was a spin-off based off the Family Guy character Cleveland Brown.
And that got canceled. So that's a danger in spin-offs, though. And that's the gamble that's taken, I think, is that you're basing a show, but it's going to be centered around the minor character, and whether that minor character can carry the weight of a show. And because that Cleveland show just came to mind, and that is what I think is the risk of them. Because I'm not going to say spin-offs are perfect. I think you're worried that there could go wrong, and I think that's how they go wrong. Is that Cleveland just couldn't carry that show. I don't know, did you watch any of it?
I did watch it. It was okay. There were some really, really funny episodes, but I would say that the Cleveland show was hit or miss at best.
Exactly, and they're actually, from what I've heard, bringing some of the Cleveland show characters onto Family Guy. So it could enrich in Family Guy if it as a permanent side effect benefit, even though it's canceled. So that's an interesting. From what I've heard, they're bringing back that that rapper baby kid and his wife and Cleveland Jr. So they're bringing some characters back.
Oh, so they're just bringing back Cleveland's
They're going to bring
family.
Cleveland and his family back onto Family Guy, which means there could be more creative license. But I think it's smart for Seth to do that. That he kept what was good, even though the show didn't work out. But that is a danger, because you have to see whether the minor character is strong enough. And I think that you were talking about spin-offs being more, and it might be riskier than sequels now. I think I might be changing my original opinion as we're doing this podcast, but remember, a sequel is based on a character that has the power to carry a movie. An Iron Man sequel has the power to carry a movie, but can the minor character carry a movie? So that's, I guess, the main question that with spin-offs that needs to be asked. Can you think, can Saul carry a movie? That Solomon character? Do you think there's enough dynamic? I mean, with a minor character, you don't know the character as well as the main character, but
That's a good
do
question.
you think there's enough substance to him that you would say, could he carry his own show?
I
easy question.
I can't say. I really can't.
I mean,
say.
that's not an easy question to answer. That's something I think all of you guys listening should think about in terms of spin-offs. Like, what minor character you're going to use? Because it's always a minor character in the popular show. And do you think there's enough background and enough depth to the minor character to carry their own show?
Yeah, same. Yeah, with Saul Goodman. I mean, he's great in every single scene he's in.
So yeah,
I really don't know if he can actually.
I think he has potential to do it, and I think
he definitely does have the potential. I'm just not sure.
And because there's enough, I think there's enough depth. We don't know the extent of depth, but there's enough depth already that with good writing can be good.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem that the Cleveland show had, and I'm just giving my thoughts on is that Cleveland as a character. I watch a lot of Family Guy, which do. Cartoon lovers, Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy is like the devil, actually. Animation people don't like him, so I will admit I like Family Guy, which might annoy some of you, but Cleveland never really had the depth of a character. Like, he was just kind of a shallower character, like a show based around Quagmire, which would have never worked.
Because, yeah, they have their funny moments.
And from what I heard, they actually wanted to do Stewie and Brian as a spinoff. At least Fox did. Yeah. Which, Seth would never do because they're the stars of Family Guy now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, going back to Cleveland and Quagmire, yeah, they're certainly funny in the scenes they're in for the most, usually.
But
there's really not a whole lot going on with their
one-dimensional.
Characters. Yeah. Which you definitely can't say the same about Saul, once again, going back to that cell phone scene. Because as much of the whole show is focused on Walt and Jesse, but as that simple scene demonstrated, there's a lot going on in Saul's world.
Yeah, there's a lot of dimensions going on.
Yeah,
which I think
there's a lot of crazy going on in his world. I mean, just even the scenes where you see.
I mean, I don't know how many cell phones
his waiting,
but it was like full in the drawer.
Yeah, but I mean, even the scenes where you just see the waiting room at his office.
Mm-hmm.
Those people look absolutely crazy.
Exactly. So there is, I agree, that could be good. And the question is whether the Agent Coulson character has enough depth to carry a movie.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, but I think he's interesting, but I just don't know. Like, I can say yes, but I can't say that with 100% confidence.
And I feel the exact same way about Saul. Where I'm sure that, with Joss Whedon can
That's what makes
pull
me
it off.
okay, which, it depends, they have the same Breaking Bad writers doing it.
Yeah.
If they do, then that's gonna increase the probability better.
Or with going to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you said that Joss Whedon is going to play
He's
a big
working
role
on the show. I don't know whether he's
in it.
writing or producing it, but he's involved in the show somehow.
Well, yeah, but do you remember Angel?
That was a spin-off of Buffy.
Yeah, it was a Buffy spin-off. Angel was, I don't remember what he was, but he was just one of the main characters.
Yeah, he was
in
a
Buffy.
character on Buffy for a while.
And they managed to produce what a good friend of mine told me was a pretty decent spin-off series based on Angel. And it went on for several seasons, too.
See,
So-
that's a success one.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
given
think
that makes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have a better possibility then. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point. So, yeah, that's, it seems like they're doing spin-offs now because, Hollywood wanting to get, shows have bigger risks now, and many shows get canceled because of the demands for ratings. So, I think we'll be seeing more spin-offs, and this Marvel spin-off, I mean, that depends on. It also depends on who they're bringing in and what type of superheroes they're bringing in. Because it's a TV show, I'm sure it's not going to be as crazy as Avengers, and I want those listening to keep that in mind, that it's not going to be on the dimension the movies are. Now, could there be interesting crossovers with the movies if it goes well? Maybe. That could be it has room to be interesting, and definitely, if they're doing Disney, ABC's owned by Disney, which is what the network that's hosting it. There's a lot of potential there. So we were actually going to bring up another Marvel topic that we were talking about, but this flows nicely. Female leads in movies, especially in a Marvel movie. I've been reading a lot on the interwebs.
the webs.
The webs.
The World Wide Webs.
On the internet, that people want a more female lead. I know that in the DC comics, there are people who want a Wonder Woman movie has been demanded about and want more female characters. Kind of like how people really liked in the event. I know people like this in the Avengers, and this is partly due to Josh Whedon's skill in balancing a huge cast of characters. That everyone had a big no character was kind of shutted to the side. Like, even, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, and man, she looked good in that black outfit.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
Gonna put it better, Mutt. Okay, yeah, even she...
Scarlett Johansson,
even she
loves you.
Even she felt important, not just, just standing there looking pretty. All the characters felt important, so...
No, yeah.
And
she
people were really
absolutely-
happy about that even Scarlett Johansson, a female character in a superhero movie, got attention, and that's not very common, so people have been wondering whether female leads can carry. So, and some people want that in a future Marvel movie. So, female leads, do you think it could work? Do you think there are risks to it?
I mean, absolutely, no question
here.
about it. And I'm actually glad you brought up Wonder Woman, because it got me thinking about a movie that we saw a while back. But do you remember the movie Haywire?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it was an action movie that came out. When would you say it came out? Not this. Was it last year or this year?
I think it was last year.
Yeah, last year, January of 2012, I think. But it was an action movie starring Gina Carano, who's a former UFC fighter. She actually did a good job, and it was a kick-ass action movie. It was actually one of the better action movies that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and I wish there were more female leads,
Yeah.
but I think that studios are reluctant to do them because they just think it won't attract a wider audience, which some people think that's just sexist. And is that true? I think it's somewhat true. I mean, also, I think it's also, I don't want to say it's entirely based on sexism and all that, because there have been female leads in movies that have bombed. One of them, as you know, Catwoman, with Halle Berry.
Also, a more recent one, Colombiana, starring Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, Colombiana. That there have been a lot of female lead movies that have not done well. So I think it makes studios nervous, but I think there's potential. I'm trying to think of a female.
Yeah, no, but also the reason why I wanted to bring up Haywire is because Gina Carano was touted to be to play the role of Wonder Woman as a possibility.
Really?
Which I think she'd be great
She'd
because
be great for that.
she can actually kick ass. You know, she can kick ass and all, but she's also not just there as eye candy. Which, yeah, she's a pretty woman, but she also has her own screen presence.
Yeah.
And she can act as well.
Yeah, and I think that's I think people, because they often have had female action people, and it's kind of been almost turned into a joke. Like we saw recently in that movie Drive, Selena Gomez as a female action quote unquote star,
and also
Rihanna in Battleship. Yeah. Oh my god!
And also going back to Zoe Saldana, where she's throwing men who are built like fucking Buicks through windows. When she's pretty much just
skinny as hell,
where her arms are pretty much just linguini in sleeves. So it was kind of hard to buy that. Yeah, I've taken a couple martial arts classes in my lifetime, and I know that power's not everything, but it's a hard pill to swallow when you see someone who's 5 foot tiny just.
And I think having a passable
just obliterate a trained fighter.
And I think that's part of the problem, is a passable female action hero is not easy to find.
Yeah, which is why, once again, I have to point to Gina Carano, because
she's good.
She can act, but she also looks like she can kick your ass.
Yeah,
easily.
And I think that, and I think that's really, I think because studios are reluctant to do female leads, I think we miss out on a lot of. We've talked about many times in this one broadcast about Hollywood running out of ideas. If they had more female leads, it gives us more potential. But I think many guys are just not comfortable with that. I mean,
yeah, that's probably true.
I know to many people in many parts, even of this own country, the idea of even a female president is just not.
It's just
not.
It's out of. They can't even imagine that. It's out of the question.
Yeah, they just think no, because there is still sexism and still around in the world that we live in, unfortunately. So, I remember another female lead movie was by Pixar, who's basically made animation movies into a mainstream thing by themselves, like with Toy Story. They did one, Brave, with that female character, and I remember reading that the studios were all very nervous because it had a female lead, which sounds probably ridiculous to us, but I think it's the reality, and I think it could be done. And also, too often female main characters are just put in by very bad actresses, which has given it, I think, a stink eye.
Exactly, yeah, where I feel like they're looking for more typical eye candy than ability.
Ability to act. And I think that's an unfortunate stereotype that's kind of been embedded, and I think reversing that is going to be not easy. But if you were to do if there were a female lead, can
we go off on a tangent?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I fucking hate these diagonal crosswalks.
Yeah, I'm driving in Beverly Hills right now, and they have these diagonal crosswalks, and it's terrible. And they're one-way streets. For any of you who live in D.C., you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I've lived in D.C. So you live in the Washington, D.C. area?
Wait, did you actually live in D.C.?
I didn't live in D.C., but I've spent enough time where
You've spent enough time to be considered a resident of D.C.
I've spent so much time in D.C. and I've stayed in D.C. for many, many, many weeks at a time. Okay. So I know D.C. And if you are from D.C. and you can relate to our problems of traffic on the Beltway, and if you're from D.C., you know exactly what I'm talking about, and one-way streets, and no left or right turns because of them. And people parallel parking on the left side, as we've seen. You know what I mean. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So, just getting that little, and for any of you tried, parallel parking on the opposite side is really hard. And you also, if you're from DC, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, Benny, back to, if there's because, there are going to be a lot more comic book movies, because that's the new, I feel like that's the new thing right now. that studios are trying to push. You see Warner Brothers trying to push their DC property to catch up with Disney. So, and I think that it's going to be dominating the market. I feel dominating the movie market for a while now, because it's the one type of movie that's been making a crap load of money. So, thinking that, would there be do you think a Wonder Woman movie can do well with that actress?
I think a Wonder Woman movie could definitely do well since she's a well-known DC character, especially if they're trying to tie her into the Justice League movie, which yet hasn't been announced, but
they're doing.
Come on, people.
Given how well the Avengers are doing, Warner Brothers knows they have to step up their game, and I think they're really not doing. I mean, they besides Batman, I don't think they've done a DC comic movie well. I did not like the new Superman movie that much. I will admit to you right now. Wasn't very impressed by it.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, just back to what I was saying, where, Wonder Woman is such a big character in the DC universe, so I'm sure that fans will want to see a Wonder Woman movie at some point, especially if they are going to make a Justice League movie. I'm sure that women would like to see a female lead in a superhero movie, and you know what? If it's just a plain old awesome movie, I'm sure that a bunch of people will just want to go out and see an awesome movie, regardless of who's in the lead. So yeah, I absolutely think that you can have a financially successful action movie or superhero movie with a female lead, no question at all.
And I would go for I always think realistically when I talk about movies in terms of what the business will allow. As much as I hate it, that's kind of the reality of it. So I'm thinking, even as a female character even in a Marvel movie, as a team up movie, as the two main characters, kind of I'm thinking this was actually a popular idea, having a Black Widow and a Hawkeye spin-off movie.
I think that honestly, I'm not sure if I'd want to see a whole movie about those two.
That's true.
But you know what? If they get the right people, they could definitely make it work.
They could. Yeah, so I just think that and even I heard they might even do a remake of the Fantastic Four.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. That was pretty bad.
Not, yeah.
The only thing Fantastic Four was it got Chris Evans into a Marvel contract, which made him be Captain America. Which actually made me respect him as an actor.
Yeah,
Chris
Evans.
He was awful in Fantastic Four. Yeah. So I was scared with Captain America, and I was like, oh, this is cool.
I don't know, I thought Chris Evans was as Johnny Flame or Blazer? Or was that Ghost Rider?
That Flame character guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As the Human Torch, I actually kind of liked... He was actually the only part of that series that I actually kind of liked.
He was the only actor that was decent in that movie. That's probably why they kept him around, because he was the only good thing in it. But yeah, and also, thinking of terrible female leads that have made the genre tainted, Jessica Alba. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, that pretty much did her career in, but she's so pretty.
Yes,
she is. I kind of miss Jessica Alba and all her beauty.
Yep, definitely. And yeah, because I feel like female leads are just regulated to romantic comedies, which is, fine, and there's nothing wrong with romantic comedies, but I think female action, because action always has typically been a high moneymaker.
Yeah, I'd be so happy.
Because think of Avengers, it's an action movie. Yeah. How many people saw, and the reason it made money is people saw it multiple times. That's how movies hit the cash load, is people go to a theater to see it more than one time. That's how movies do well.
Yeah.
And the female lead, that's for me seems like a market, an untapped potential that's not being fulfilled.
I'd be so happy if Jessica Alba held my hand for a minute.
You're having fun in your little daydream over there, Pete.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alex. I wasn't really...
You're having your Jessica Alba fantasy moment. It's
I wasn't really listening. I was not paying as much attention to you as I should have been. I'm sorry.
That's cool. We all have our fantasy moments. But man, she cannot act.
She's fucking beautiful.
She is really fucking beautiful. There's no sane man would doubt that, but she can act. I always felt like when Jessica Alba was acting, it's like she was talking to a 5-year-old person. Like,
Yeah, she was. We've seen. What?
Burger Lounge. There's another food place that we're keeping up.
Oh, Burger Lounge. Okay. Have you been there before?
Nope. I heard it's really good though.
All right.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, check that place
Jessica
out.
Alba, really hot, but man, she can't act. I think that's why Jennifer Lawrence, because I liked her. And speaking of another comic, I'm kind of going into it.
Speaking of a woman that I want to get married to and spend the rest of my days with, J-Law, Jennifer Lawrence.
J-Law, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
loves
every
her.
guy in America agrees with that, as do I. Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just having my own fantasy moment right there. But yeah, see, X-Men is doing a sequel now. X-Men Last Stand, I loved that movie. That was the first good X-Men movie in my mind.
Wait, did you see X2?
X2?
Yeah, it was the second X-Men movie.
No.
That was, in my opinion, until X-Men First Class, that was the only good X-Men movie.
Well, the first X-Men movie I heard was good. The second one everyone thinks was good, though not as the first one. X-Men Last Stand, we're just gonna... And actually, what X-Men First Class did is it basically redid the continuity where the third X-Men movie never happened. So, a good movie erasing a bad movie. That's always a plus in my book. And also, that means an X-Men sequel means more Michael Fassbender. And that's never bad to me, because I like Michael Fassbender.
And also, how could you forget, Alex? More Jennifer Lawrence.
And more Jennifer Lawrence, yes.
Which is never, ever, ever a bad thing.
Nope. And, that was interesting, but X-Men, we've been talking about female leads, and we had 2 female characters. We had January Jones being eye candy, and January Jones is very hot. Let's not put that into perspective.
Yeah, she is the worst, man.
She
Did you see?
She
what
almost...
was that?
She brought down the movie by herself, by the way.
What was that Liam Neeson movie that she was in?
Oh my God, I know.
The Knowing. The Knowing, yeah.
The Knowing.
Yeah.
The Knowing. Oh my God, that was a terrible movie.
Holy
She actually ruined that movie.
Fucking
She single-handedly...
shit. She was so bad in that.
Yeah, she couldn't act. X-Men First Class was a great movie, but she brought that movie down. But why I brought it up is we have a contrast right there. Female eye candy versus female lead. You can see it in the movie. Because Jennifer Lawrence was kind of the main character who turned bad. She's in a superhero movie, and really hot despite being in a blue makeup. Doesn't matter. Not to me.
Nope.
But there's an example of a female lead in, well, I don't know if she's the main character. I mean, it's
Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah,
as Mystique. No, she wasn't the main character.
No, but she was like half. She was like the in between the main character and the minor character.
No, she was the female lead, and she was a very, very important character in the story. But
not the main character.
The two leads in that movie were Michael Fassbender as Magneto and James McAvoy as Professor Xavier.
Yeah, it was about them, but Jennifer Lawrence was still a big part of the movie.
Yeah,
and she did really well. So then again, just a female lead in a comic book movie. Well, not lead, but a star, not a star character, but significant.
So that's another question, I guess. Do you think do you think it's good enough to have a female character as an unimportant character, but not necessarily the lead, or would you like a female character to actually be the lead character, front and center, whole story revolves around her?
I would like them to be the lead, but I think it's going to take other movies until we get to see that, I always keep a realistic tone when I talk about this, because as much as we like to fantasize, there's what we want to fantasize and what has a possibility coming out. But I think that I would like a lead, but I think that they're going to have to be like at least co-starring as the lead, kind of how what the Professor X and Magneto were 2 leads, like in a team-up movie, before that can happen. But I'd like to see a lead. But
so pretty much studio executives at this point aren't ready?
I don't think so. I think they're not comfortable yet, but I think a co-star movie, like a duo, with a female, one of the leads being a female, a duo lead movie, would be a good place to start. If those become successful, then I think studios will move to wanting a lead. And I think there are many, even not as the lead, but as the co-lead star. If that's, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but co-lead star. Yeah. I think, and whether in the new X-Men movie, Jennifer Lawrence might get a bigger role because her star power has skyrocketed.
Yeah, right now she is the biggest name going into that movie, even bigger than Michael Fassbender. Right?
Yeah, she's the biggest name going into that movie. I'll give you a point. In the first Hunger Games, she got paid $500,000. Sequel, she's getting paid $10 million. Just to give you a perspective on Jennifer Lawrence's star power at this current point in time, and it's the 12th of September 2013. As of right now, she is the biggest new name in Hollywood right now. And I think it was really Silver Linings Playbook that's taken her to this top level. So yeah, she still has a lot of star power going, and that could be interesting, especially new X-Men movies with her in them. She could be the first female lead in a comic movie, really. That has the potential, or a co-lead, anyway. But I think there's a lot, and I think that there's a potential to be there, and I hope so, because as great looking as, eye candy is great, but, and for, at least for guys, and even for girls, eye candy, there's something wrong with eye candy. In Twilight, Robert Pattinson was girl eye candy, or tween. Teenage girl and creepy older woman eye candy.
He was eye candy for tweens, not women.
There are older women who creepily liked Twilight.
No, they're not women. They're children.
They're children who are...
They're children who just
they're 16 going on 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, they are children who just so happen to be in their mid-40s.
Exactly. That,
Yeah.
There's actually was a mom's Twilight thing that I once saw a picture of online. I kind of was disturbed by it, and then couldn't focus on playing Skyrim for the rest of the day because of it, because it ruined my day. But anyway, yeah, that there's nothing wrong with eye candy, but I think we can see when there's eye candy that can't act. I mean, even if there's eye candy, I don't, it's okay if they're not, A-list in terms of acting, but you really gotta hope that they can act, because the best example is Transformers. Megan Fox, she's really good looking, but, man.
I mean, thing is, with eye candy's like actual candy, where yeah, it looks good, Jolly Rancher's kind of pretty, but at the end of the day, it's just solidified, it's just a brick of sugar, flavored sugar. There's nothing to it. There's no substance behind it. So it's, being pretty's wrong. As we've said before, Jennifer Lawrence is pretty, but she has substance, and she can bring some...
And that should be a message to the studio, guys, you can have a pretty actress in the movie because you want to do your eye candy, but they're pretty women who can act. Yeah, and studios, I think, need to get them. And hoping that could be, and I'm probably over-exaggerating here, but that could be Jennifer Lawrence and her popularity, because she's the first really good-looking actress with hardcore talent, since,
Well, I mean, she's not the first.
Not
she's
the
not
first,
the
but,
only.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, Jennifer Lawrence is just the it thing right now.
But there's not many of them, though. I mean, think about it. There was, Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie. I never thought I found her to be very hot, but...
Kate Blanchett. Kate Winston. Helen Mirren, she's old, but she is pretty.
Yeah, she is.
Halle Berry. I mean, there are plenty of pretty talented actresses.
I think they can get more. Yeah. There needs to be, they need more. Halle Berry.
Here's the other thing, though. It's not just a question of getting good actresses. It's also a question of, giving them something to work with so that they can actually give some substance to the characters that they are portraying.
It's the writers and the studios that need to make better roles for female leads, really. Yeah. And they don't. It's female, there's not many female roles in movies that really have substance to them, I don't think. At least not, it's a rare thing. where there's a movie with a female lead that's really big. The last one was that one with Sandra Bullock, and maybe Gravity could get there. That's a new movie coming out. It's going to be in the Oscars, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think there's potential there, and I think that with some, I think at least back, we started this in Marvel and we've talked about many different genres, but I think a female lead is or at least a female main character can keep that train going. And all the Marvel movies have done well, and we'll see, because the new Thor movie comes out when?
November.
November.
Sometime in November.
We're gonna see, and Iron Man 3 did very well, so we're gonna see if they can keep that high streak going.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Iron Man 3 was the most successful movie of the summer, so...
Exactly.
Yay, I guess.
It's at the top of the movie world right now, so... And the movies have all been, even for most people who don't read comics, I've never read a single comic in my life. They're good. So, and it's attracting wider ranges of audience, so... Good entertaining movies, the more of them that are made, the better we all are. The happier we all are, so I'm hoping... I think with a female lead, or at least a female main, there's potential to make... Because, every trend, eventually, a lot of them just crash and burn. Like, there was the 90s crappy, over-the-top action movies of the 90s. And now it's the comics and I guess I want to call it the nerd culture dominates film now, so... Anything to keep it going.
Well, you don't want to say that so soon.
Oh, I don't want to say that so soon, maybe.
No, because people have been saying for years that, oh, the geeks have won, and if you want to make something successful, look to the geeks. Well, Kick-Ass 2, Pacific Rim. There are a bunch of sort of nerd-type movies that where, because of the circles in which we travel, where we perceive them to be, the biggest movie on the market, when really they're not. Pacific Rim got beaten by Grown Ups 2 and Despicable Me 2 at the box office in its opening weekend.
I still don't want to... I'm still actually kind of upset that happened.
That Grown Ups 2 beat Pacific Rim?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm more upset with the fact that, and this is somebody else I'm going to crap upon a lot, probably, in future podcasts.
Wait, hold on. Adam Sandler, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
Each of us, this is kind of just going off and talking about we have our different tastes, and we each have directors that we have personal dislike of. Very highly. For me, it's Adam Sandler is one of them. Zack Snyder is not another one of my favorite. I don't hate him, but I find him to be dull. And you have yours, Peter.
J.J. Abrams.
Yes, Peter hates J.J. Abrams. And I'm sure they'll...
And also, I feel like I have to add, Adam Sandler and Zack Snyder are also on the top of my shit list.
Yeah. I don't think I hate J.J. Abrams the way you do. I just find him to be very non-creative at all. No creativity to me. I don't think he's offensive, he's just boring, but you...
No, he's not offensive. He just sucks and I hate him.
Yep, and that makes me more scared about the new Star Wars movies. I'm worried about those, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm very nervous.
Yeah, I've never even been... I'm not a huge Star Wars fan in the slightest. I think the original three were good, full stop. They're good movies. They're not life-changing. They're just good. Mm-hmm. Decent, I guess, while the prequels are not good. That's really how I feel about Star Wars. It's really that simple. I don't really attach much importance to them. They were never really they were never a big part of my childhood growing up. But yeah, I hate J.J. Abrams for fucking up Star Wars.
Yeah,
he hasn't even... We don't know any details about the J.J. Abrams... about the Star Wars movies that J.J. Abrams is making, but I'm already mad at him for ruining Star Wars.
And let's talk about his past record, though.
Oh, Jesus. You know what, Alex? I actually I actually think you're right. I think I hate J.J. Abrams a lot more than I'm willing to admit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go into depth and talk about this.
Yeah, maybe another episode.
We're gonna have to talk. There's a whole podcast we can do about J.J. Abrams. Really.
Because it's been almost 2 hours and we've still got 2 more things.
Oh yeah, we need to keep going.
About,
We've gone way far.
Yeah,
people,
but on this topic of female leads in action movies, I feel like we're sort of on the same page.
Yeah.
At this point,
basically there can be more.
Yeah, there can be more, and it's absolutely something that can totally work. There's not even a question about it. It's just that studios have to be willing to give, actresses. Yeah, they have to be willing to take the leap. But they have to be willing to give actresses a chance, and they have to make sure. And writers and directors have to make sure that they're making good characters for female actresses to portray in these movies. And it's really that simple. Just make a good movie, I guess.
Less about I'm thinking Transform, Megan Fox's ass shots that we saw every other scene in that movie.
Yeah.
Don't you remember that? In the first Transformers, the car is just ass shot.
Yeah. So I feel like we should keep talking about that new shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
That new shit. Some real new shit that came out this week, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that is Apple unveiling its new iPhones.
Yay? I don't know. I'm not, super excited about that. Now, I know...
No, that's absolutely how everyone I know reacted to it. It's just, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't find out about it until I was just reading some news site.
I didn't find out until this morning until I got a text from my brother about it, and I was just like, oh. Now, here's my take on Apple. Apple makes really good stuff. And that just sounded terrible, but Apple's done well, and there's a hardcore Apple fan base, but I think Apple, and this may be after the death of, the late Steve Jobs, from what I heard, he wasn't he was kind of a dick, but he was very brilliant. No one can deny that, but I think what's happening, because, I don't know about you, but most people I've talked to are they're kind of okay. There's no hype to Apple where people are going to be waiting out. I mean, there are going to be people waiting outside the door for it.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely Apple fans, but the cult of Apple that Steve Jobs sort of created over his time at the company is sort of... Well, no, it hasn't. Yeah, they're still Apple fans, but...
It's not at the peak as it was.
It's not at the peak as it was when, Steve Jobs walked onto that stage in his black turtleneck like a cult leader. I mean, he looked like a cult leader. With his glasses and his...
He really did.
And he always wore the same outfit. He was a fucking cult leader, man.
He was. Apple was basically a cult. But... And I think that I don't know how well it's going to do, but I don't... Yeah. And I'm sure lots of people will buy it, because people buy everything Apple, but...
Well, anyway, I guess we should actually launch into talking about the two products a bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So, there's the iPhone C, which I thought stood for, the iPhone 5C, which I thought stood for the iPhone 5 cheap.
Oh.
That was my theory about it, but it's not. It's actually... What? This...
I haven't read all the details about it, so you're going to have to explain this.
Yeah, I pulled up a Washington Post article, but they don't actually say what the C is. Hold on. I'm going to find something that's better.
While
Alex
looking
talks.
That, I'm going to talk about my take on what I think. Why? Because as Peter said, the cult has really faded, and any of you guys probably noticed that compared to 2 or 3 years ago, and I think it's because Apple hasn't really had as much innovation. Think about it, they just kept doing new versions of iPhones, new versions of iPads. Eventually, I think we're starting to hit the peak of what Apple is able to milk out of the iPhone. I don't know if we're at that peak yet. That depends on how well the sales do, and we'll find out. But I think they've kind of reached that point where you have to do. They've kind of worn out the hype of it. It's been kind of milked dry. So they're going to have to come up with a completely new thing. And I don't know. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know what that could be. and I think they will, because Google's coming out with. I think they came out with Glass, but I don't know how. Is it out? Or is it about to come out?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Google Glass.
What is? Oh, the Google glasses.
Yeah.
I think it's about to come out. We'll talk about that in another episode.
So I think that maybe will give me a better. I think will either confirm or prove me completely wrong, but I think there needs to be a newer idea. Like, I think Apple has to do a newer product, and they just keep building better versions of the old things, better, like upgraded iPads, upgraded iPhones, and upgraded Mac computers.
No, I mean, I'm glad that you brought up the question of innovation, because I remember in an interview, I think it was with Steve Jobs, where he said that the philosophy that he wanted to adopt with Apple is to design products that people don't know that they even want until they actually get it in their hands and they say, oh, this is interesting. For example, with the iPhone, not a whole lot of people wanted a touchscreen phone. A lot of people liked having that physical keyboard, like Blackberries, I guess. And then as you got accustomed to it, they said, okay, you know what? This touchscreen is pretty cool. This virtual keyboard, it works. And as you now know, that's pretty much the standard feature in all smartphones now. Yeah. Same thing with the
smartphone now just basically assassinated the BlackBerry.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the iPad. Who wants to, read or watch a movie on a little tiny screen? Well, apparently a lot of people, because a lot of people bought those iPads. Everyone was joking how it's just a giant iPod. But a lot of people did end up buying those big old iPod Touches anyway.
I mean,
and that's really...
here's an interesting point. iPhones, and everyone knows this, play music. And you have playlists. Their own product made their own product obsolete. They made iPods obsolete. Like, that is a new level of information when you make your own things obsolete as opposed to a competitor's.
That is true.
And another thing that I think is part of how we're talking about previous iPhone and Apple innovation, their camera phones are good quality that they made most normal cameras obsolete, except for the few types of cameras the high-end professional quality. But Kodak went bankrupt.
Yeah. I mean, for most people, the camera on an iPhone is good enough.
Yeah, it's higher. It's a high enough quality instead of the super, professional photographers or basically paparazzi or normal real photographers. Paparazzi, I will never call paparazzi photographer.
Yeah, but I mean that's the point that I'm trying to make, and I know, and that's the point that you also made, where Apple hasn't really designed a new product since the iPad.
Yeah, they really haven't. They've just upgraded and
that's the thing. They've just improved.
They've been tweaking their current things.
Yeah, they're just tinkering with their current products, and they haven't really gotten around to making something new, which is why there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare about these new iPhones, where, they're just iPhones, man, and we'll talk about the actual specs behind them, but at the end of the day, it's just another iPhone with some extra bells and whistles. For example, the iPhone 5, once again, doesn't stand for iPhone 5 cheap. It stands for iPhone 5 color, where it comes in different colors. It's got specs that are comparable to the current iPhone 5, but aren't up to the same standards as the iPhone 5S. So here it says you can buy the iPhone 5C for $99 on a 2-year contract, same price point that Apple used to offer for its older phones. And I think it comes in a 16GB, 32GB variants anyway. But at the same time, as according to this article, that if you try to buy it unlocked, especially if you're overseas, that price will jump way, way higher. So it's really not a low-end entry point for most consumers. And then you have the iPhone 5S, starting at a price of $199 for a 2-year contract. And it's offered in a couple of new colors as well. Gold, I think. Some weird gray color. Black, white, or something like that. phone comes with a chip that measures motion and environmental information, which Apple is using for health and fitness apps. Okay. And maybe the biggest thing about it is that it has a Touch ID where, you know, where the home button is on an iPhone? Where now it's a fingerprint scan that you'll now have to use to unlock your phone instead of a numbered code.
I don't like that. That sounds police state-esque, fingerprint scanner.
Yeah.
I have an aversion to fingerprint scanner.
Yeah.
And that's a political topic I could go on for hours, but anyway.
No, it just sounds like it's just a greater inconvenience, since apparently it takes a while for you to set up the scanner. What if something goes wrong? You know, I like the numbers.
Yeah,
Anyway, it also includes a stronger processor. But
if it's a fingerprint scanner, that means no one else can use your phone. Like, my brother needs to borrow my phone for something.
Yeah, exactly. What if you...
It's like restricting it to you and not letting it able to be used by anybody else.
Yeah, apparently you can set up multiple profiles with it, but even then, that's kind of a pain. Where
it sounds like the old Xbox One. For some reason, that comparison is coming to my mind right
here's
now.
an example. Here's a pretty simple example. What if you're in a car with your buddies, and you're just driving around, and you have your phone plugged into your audio system, and you're playing music off that. Your friend wants to change a song, and he can't because of the fingerprint. You know what? Actually, that might be a good thing if your friends have really shitty tastes in music.
You're like, no, you're not picking the next song.
Yeah, fuck you. We're not listening to goddamn Avicii. You're gonna listen to Led Zeppelin and, you know,
yes, we're not.
Be a man about it.
We're listening to real music and not stupid modern pop stuff.
But yeah, so...
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, it just seems more...
Yeah, it's just, once again, just a few more upgrades thrown in. And that's really it.
And is it worth buying? I don't think so.
I don't think... I mean, if you like...
I don't know. I have an iPhone 4. I didn't buy an iPhone 5. Yeah. I just don't want to spend the money for one.
I have an iPhone 4... an iPhone 4, I think. And I'm perfectly happy with it. I don't have any problems with it.
And I think... I don't know, like... The thing is, I'm not sure what Apple could invent. And I mean, I'm sure they'll come up with something. I don't think anybody could have thought of the iPad or what apps would do. So...
And I mean...
there's always a room for surprise, but...
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that this is a bad product that Apple designed. I'm sure it's going to work great, but at the same time, I don't really see a need to upgrade to it right now. If I break my phone or something's wrong with it, then yeah, absolutely, I'll upgrade to the new iPhone because I think iPhones are pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are.
They're a great gadget. So this isn't really shitting on that.
It's not a shit on Apple.
Yeah, we're not reaming Apple.
We're just thinking that they need to... We're commenting on what Apple we think needs to do, because with every company, to stay on the top, innovation is key. That's why many companies have folded. And people will know that. Like, Barnes & Nobles bookstores have folded because they haven't changed to now with the e-reader, for example. And and department stores haven't upgraded to did not build an online easy of use. So, I should have totally gone that left turn.
Yeah, you could have.
My bad. But...
Oh, well, fuck it.
Fuck it. Anyway, yeah, so Apple has to innovate, because it used to be basically nobody could touch Apple, but with Microsoft doing its touchpad now and doing the innovation, which I still think is not as cool as the iPad, personally, because other companies are now have the viability, that's the word, viability to be competitive. Apple needs to innovate to keep up. It can't just ride the iPhone wave forever, and that's a company, because companies will make a cool product and then ride that wave and then fall down, and I just don't want Apple making that same mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, as of right now, any smartphone, your smartphone can pretty much do anything that an iPhone can do. I just personally prefer iPhones because I find that they're easy to use. But I mean, really, everything that an iPhone can do, any Android phone, any Samsung Galaxy, they can do it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe, I don't know if Apple's understanding that, but And like by the random chance, which is probably not, that somebody who either is a low-level guy in Apple listens to this, I'm just going to say, hey, 3 years ago, Apple was the king of the mountain. Nobody really could come close to the level and the caliber that Apple had. So now that they're competitors, you gotta keep stepping up your game. That's the nature of competition. If you're the king of the mountain, eventually someone's gonna get to be able to be on par with you. Companies are on par now. It's, Apple has to really just...
Yeah, you absolutely can't stop innovating and thinking outside of the box.
You can't just ride the wave of your past successes forever. And it's a mistake many companies make. Many companies make that mistake and they fail because of it. And Apple's a company that's done a lot of cool things, and I want them to keep making cool things. And who knows what they can do? I'd like to be surprised, personally. And I think what might define the trend, and speaking of what Apple could do, and Google Glass, which we will talk about when it comes out.
I do not like the idea of Google Glass at all.
Really?
Because let me tell you what I think. Just imagine this: it's late at night.
Mm-hmm.
You're driving. You went to a bizarre party with all kinds of debauchery and chaos somewhere up north. Like Santa Barbara, maybe.
Yeah.
It's late at night. It's 3 a.m. You're driving back. You've got your Google glasses on, and you're kind of falling in and out. And then all of a sudden, Facebook pops open right in front of your face. You freak the fuck out and drive off the road.
You think it's a recipe for many car
accidents
of the future?
Yeah, I do.
I see it.
I absolutely do. And
how bad people...
just forget about driving on the road. If I was just walking down the street with my glasses, I was just, doing whatever it is I do all day. I don't know. I black out for most of the day nowadays. And suddenly some shit just pops up in front of my face for absolutely no reason. I would freak the fuck out.
Maybe. But that could be the new normal of the future. You don't know. But that's an interesting
it absolutely could, but
I think the problem with Google Glass is...
Alex, hold on. I'm sorry, but that is something that I don't think I could ever get used to.
Oh, I don't think I could either.
I don't think I could get on board with that. And that's why I don't think I will ever buy these Google glasses.
Yeah, I just don't know. Because something's innovative and new, it has to be practical and it has to be, appealing to work. Back in the 90s, and I'm going back, is that they invented telephones where it was like a TV screen telephone, basically. And it failed. Because people didn't want to be on the phone and have to look decent.
Mm-hmm.
And so it didn't really fit into a person's lifestyle, and it has to be able to fit into whatever else. Your technology has to be able to integrate well into whatever the crap people do in their lives. iPad did that, iPhone did that. Everybody uses cell phones.
I don't think Google Glasses will do that at all.
Yeah, and
I don't
also
think it's
technology
a great upgrade.
There's a new thing about technology looking cool. People like technology that looks... They want to be able to have it out in the open and not look like not be embarrassed to own it.
There's a reason why no one wears Bluetooth headsets anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Or earpieces anymore, whatever you want to call
now
them.
You're cast as being kind of an asshole, really. Pardon my language, but you're seen as being basically smug. You're being a smug jerk when you have the Bluetooth. You're just it gives off a negative connotation to it. And whether Google Glass, and I think Google Glass is just not sleek enough. It doesn't really look good to me.
No, it doesn't.
And could I basically internet in your glasses, which seems like a logical evolution of where technology is going. And this is a much larger topic, is internet being included in more aspects of our lives.
Because, you know what, let me tell you, I like to be disconnected sometimes.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that I'm not the only person who feels like this.
Yeah.
With something like Google Glasses, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder to disconnect when it's something that you have to wear on your face.
And I read a lot about futurists and theoretical... There was actually, and this is even weirder, there was a futurist who made predictions about the future, including touchscreens, iPads, and he got 85% correct, which is a high, and he predicts that people's minds will be uploaded into a computer. We're getting into some, basically, I I'm always going to say, and predicting technology is difficult because you can never know what will be invented that we could never have conceptualized before. Because I talk to my parents, like, when the microwave came out, man, my parents are really old. Oh my God. That it was just something they never thought of before. Like, I know, Bob, many of you remember the 90s, which is when I was born and when Peter was born too. The idea of a touchscreen cell phone probably would not have been something we could have thought about.
Okay.
But I think Google Glasses just has that, and I don't know whether Apple will follow suit, but I think it doesn't have that. It can practically fit in the way we live, and it looks ugly. Anyway, I just rambled on about giving my thoughts about that. But do you think, do you think Apple will be able to eventually be forced to innovate, or do you think they're just going to ride the wave on the way down?
That's a good question. I
don't
know. No, they will be forced to innovate, especially since Google is an electronic giant that is bigger and more influential than them. And if you remember, Google used to only do, software, operating systems and stuff, and just tinker with their search engines. They didn't really release commercial products.
Yeah.
Now they're doing that. Starting with that the Google Nexus phone that came out a couple of years ago. They also released a laptop too, the Google Chromebook.
Yeah. And
well.
Google's basically the internet.
Yeah.
The internet giant. It's the internet.
Yeah.
King.
It really is the internet. Even
Apple might have been king of technology,
Yeah.
but Google is the king of the internet age.
Yeah. Look, just to give you an idea of how big Google is, Apple has their own web browser, Safari, which uses Google as its primary search engine. Before Apple made Apple Maps, the Maps application on your iPhone was Google Maps. And then Apple tried to fight Google in its backyard and created Apple Maps. There was a lot of backlash on it. And, a couple of weeks later, there was a Google Maps application on the iPhone, on the Apple Store.
Yep. So basically, Google's the king, and now that Google is getting into Apple's territory, Apple's going to have to do...
Yeah, no matter how big Apple gets or how many great products they design, they're still living in Google's kingdom.
Yes, and now that Google's encroaching on their forte,
which was for Apple products, actual hardware and software, I guess too, but mostly. I feel like mostly hardware.
Hardware, yeah, I think that's the point. Google did software, Apple was the king of hardware. Basically, for the last 4 years, Apple dominated hardware, Google dominated software.
Yeah, but now Google is going into the hardware game, designing actual products. So yeah, I think if Apple wants to survive without being swallowed by Google, that they will have to innovate.
And yeah, they will, and I think they will. Apple's, I think, has intelligent stuff in the company to know that they're going to have to do that. So I think it'll be interesting. And I think when they will, it's not a question of if they will innovate, it's a question of when, I think. And I think when is going to be determined by the sales of the new iPhone. If it really is below projections, they're going to immediately be like, all right, this wave that we're riding isn't working. We need to do something. And I think that will be determined also, like we've said and repeated before, how well Google Glass does.
Yeah.
And I love doing predictions. I don't think Google Glass is going to do well.
Neither do I.
I think it's going to be remembered, and we could be so wrong, and I'd be shocked if I was wrong, that one of those cool new technologies that nobody liked. And there's many of them. And I was talking, the TV phones in the 90s, and I'm sure there are more that I just don't know. But I'm sure they're out there. And
Virtual Boy.
The what?
Virtual Boy, Nintendo's virtual reality console.
Oh, yeah.
That was supposed to be the big thing, but then sucked ass.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and that's another great example. So whether Google will be in that category, the Google Glass will be in that category, I think so. I just don't think given how much we do two things a lot. We work and talk to people, and we drive a lot. That's one thing I think we do in America more than any other activity in a normal day is driving. Google Glasses and driving, as you said, well, that's not going to mix together. It won't work. So I think it's going to fail, and I'll see if the iPhone 5 fails, and I think that will determine it.
Especially with Google. I mean,
and I don't want it to
I
fail.
get mad when shit just pops up on my phone or on my computer.
Yeah.
Like I told you about my problems with Windows 8, where I would be doing something, and then some random application would open up on my computer for no goddamn reason. I hated that.
Yeah, I hate that
can't
too.
imagine having that, on my face all the time, right in front of me.
Mm-hmm. And especially when you know how computers get spam problems. Imagine a spam, and Google's not Apple, where they could get spam. Imagine a spam issue on your Google Glasses.
Oh,
Just
God.
think about all the crap you have to deal with. I don't know if Google is as good as Apple in terms of their software and not getting viruses on PCs, but I see that.
What?
Just about information collection. I know if you were trying to show me that, but I just
No, but yeah, that's something that a lot of people are worried about, because it is kind of weird that the new iPhones are going to have body sensors that are supposed to be used for health and fitness apps, but
people don't trust that now, given the whole Edward Snowden NSA leak that happened. People are skeptical, and that's, I think, also what happened with the Xbox One. That might be, I wonder if, honestly, given the body scanner and the fingerprint reader, plus everything that's happened, the whole NSA revelations, and plus the backlash on the Xbox One, actually, whether Apple will have a similar backlash.
It's very possible.
Because there was a bunch of privacy things with the Xbox One that people flipped out about.
Yeah, and I mean, with this thing about this fingerprint scanner is that it's going to store your fingerprint. It has to, so that you can actually unlock your phone, which is kind of weird, which is a pretty big difference where it's storing biological information about you over a couple of random numbers.
And that's why you can't buy an new iPhone, because that makes me uncomfortable.
I'm really curious to see if it's possible to disable that.
Whether it will be or won't be, I'm thinking it probably won't be. Because if that's things they're highlighting, they're not going to have the one new thing that people are just going to not use anymore. And I think there could be backlash. And I don't want it to fail, because I don't like having things fail, because that's so negative, but...
Yeah, I have trouble seeing them removing it, though, because I think they're coming out at the end of this month.
Really? Is the end of September? I thought it was until October. Oh, wow, that's coming out right now. But I don't like things fail, but I kind of hope for, and this sounds terrible, but I kind of hope the iPhone does well, but it forces Apple to think new, think differently. Apple needs to, they always used to say think differently. They're not thinking differently now. They've abandoned their own slogan. They're not doing enough think differently. Oh man, and so that's my thoughts on the iPhone 5. If you have anything.
I think we pretty much talked about everything.
We talked about that to death right there.
Which is of any interest to it. I mean, I don't really care too much about the minute technical specs of it at all, unless you do.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm sure many of you guys I don't know all the technical terms to that, and I'm not a super tech guy, so I wouldn't understand any of it anyway.
Yeah, you know what? If you are a tech junkie, you already know the specs. So
you've looked it up already.
Yeah, you already know everything there is to know about these new phones, so we're not going to go into them anymore. Alright. So, last topic, I guess, since we've been going for more than 2 hours now.
Let's keep rolling.
I guess is the big thing that the one thing that I have not been able to stop thinking about for the past couple of weeks is about to be upon us. Which is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah!
Woo!
I was going to do woo, but you kind of just did it before.
Woo!
Hell yeah! Grand Theft Auto 5. Woo!
Yeah, I think I might.
That was some crappy cheering. That was really
some
lame
pretty
cheering. But we're actually excited about it.
But I mean, like,
cheering.
yeah, our voices are so tired right now. We've been talking pretty steadily for 2 hours now.
But Grand Theft Auto 5. And I think we mentioned it briefly earlier in this very, very long podcast. But it's the first video game that I've actually been... And it's the first of a few that I've been excited about in a long time. Because I think entertainment... this is a larger idea that just came to my head. That I think video games are suffering from ideas... running out of ideas, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially now, because new consoles are about to launch. Everyone's focusing on the new technology. There's not really as much focus on games. And not a lot of game studios are making games... wait, hold on. Let me think of a better way to phrase this. A lot of studios are focusing on the technology. They're not interested in making games right now. That will be coming out now. They're focusing on... They're seeing how the consoles will sell and what kind of tech that they're going to be able to work with. That's kind of the focus of the studios.
So I'm surprised GTA 5 wasn't going to be on the Xbox One. That surprised me a bit.
I did too. I thought it would be a great launch title, but they've been working on it for years on the current current consoles.
And it looks great.
And looks great.
And what's interesting me, it makes me wonder why we need... I mean, I guess we've maxed out the current technology, but it seems like there's untapped potential because it's the best 360 game I've seen in a long time.
It definitely looks like the most interesting one. And I think the reason why Rockstar isn't putting this on next generation consoles is because they know that the Grand Theft Auto name carries a lot of weight. People already own these consoles, so they might as well release it.
Yeah, from business-wise, I think it's more logical.
Yeah, especially in September, where there aren't a whole lot of video games that are coming out.
Yeah, it'll dominate.
Yeah, it'll absolutely dominate.
And, here's why I'm excited, because Rockstar, to me, is one of the few companies that really makes great games. And I think, and this is really sad for me to say this, it's gonna make me sad, is fewer and fewer companies are making high-quality games now. To me, there's only three. There's Rockstar, there's Bethesda, and there's BioWare. And to me, that's really about it. And I will never think Activision is a good company, because I don't like Call of Duty.
The only one I'd add...
Yeah, I'm in the minority, and I'm not a Call of Duty fan, and that's going to probably annoy some of you. And we will get to that, and there's a lot, we will get to that later.
The only game studio that I would add to your list is Irrational.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, the guys who made BioShock games.
Oh, yes. And here's the thing about Rockstar. Rockstar, many of you guys don't know from Grand Theft Auto 3, which none of you guys probably maybe weren't old enough to play. I don't know how young and old some of you guys are, but it was very campy and very crazy. Kind of like Saints Row, actually. Saints Row, they say it's a Grand Theft Auto clone. It's a clone of the old Grand Theft Auto. Then Grand Theft Auto 4 came out, which Rockstar took the series in almost a completely opposite direction. And here's my opinion on the previous one. I liked Grand Theft Auto 4. I thought the story was interesting, the characters were interesting, but the gameplay and its structure was terrible.
I felt like the missions were very repetitive. I also didn't care for the controls in that game at all.
And some of the features were just extremely annoying.
Oh, another Tesla.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Another Tesla. Honestly, my favorite car. And it's in black. No, but here's the thing and here are the things about GTA 4, which any of you guys have played it, I'm sure are annoyed. Your friends. The phone friend system. Everyone remembers Roman saying, "Cousin, let's go bowling." Or
Roman, I'm getting shot right now. Can it wait? Ah, Nico, you're such a bad cousin. Friendship meter, drop. And you're just sitting there thinking, what the fuck do you want me to do,
And
Roman?
too
There are
bad.
bullets in my body right now, son of a
It's
bitch.
too bad because I like the characters. Jacob and Brucey were my two favorite characters. Now,
Oh yeah, oh god, I love Brucey.
okay, here's what I've actually heard about, and the things about Grand Theft Auto 5, that the repetitive in the missions is more like the 3-leaf clover. The bank heist mission was everyone's favorite, and there are more missions like that, which to me, that's awesome. It seems to me that with and we've talked about Grand Theft Auto 4. Let me get to the other game, Red Dead Redemption. I loved the hell out of that game.
Yeah, that's the game that got me really excited for Grand Theft Auto.
And I think
5.
what I've seen so far is that, and I so hope I'm right, is that they've taken the mistakes from Grand Theft Auto, they fixed the mistakes from the fourth one, so it seems, and took what they learned in Red Dead Redemption. Because Red Dead Redemption had a wider, expansive, very varied environment. Well, varied, kind of. It was all gray, brown desert, but...
No, I mean not all of it. Do you remember the part with the
Oh yeah, the
that,
forest.
what's it
the
called?
snow.
Blackwood or I don't know.
Blackwood. I
Blackwood.
don't remember. But
Maybe.
yeah, they had a more varied environment though. And I think they're taking that, and they seem to be taking the combat system from... Because I liked Red Dead Redemption's combat system. They clearly learned from Grand Theft Auto 4 that auto lock-on doesn't work.
I mean, the thing... Well, the reason I loved Red Dead Redemption as well, and the thing about Grand Theft Auto 5 is that they've had a lot of time to develop it, and they have a much greater understanding of the technology that they're working with because they made two big, expansive games in Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption.
And they're
So pretty much they're just going... What it looks like is that they're just taking everything that worked in those games,
putting them
together and fixing everything
that
that
wasn't
didn't work.
They're taking out the friend system, and I was so happy when I heard that. I was like, yes. And the three main characters is a new thing that they've never done before.
Especially the fact that you can drop in and out of every single out of all three characters. And also, what's even more interesting is that when you're not playing as one of the characters, as Michael, Franklin, or Trevor, they're still doing stuff. They're still interacting in the world and going about the world,
doing their daily lives, basically.
Yeah. Well, just because you're not there doesn't mean that the world
stops.
The world doesn't stop. It still reacts. For example, in one of the trailers, they showed I think Michael at his home, Trevor walking down the street Franklin talking to a buddy, and doing, I think, jacking a car or something. And then they switched over to Trevor, who was in an absolutely insane police chase. And to think that these three characters were doing so many very different things, even while you're away, is just incredible. I think it
makes the characters more alive.
Yeah, and I think just the simple fact of bouncing in and out of the three characters is going to be an incredibly entertaining system in itself. Forget about the action or the jokes or the story
or the political commentary
or the political and social commentary.
Yes, because
just that simple gameplay element is going to be entertaining.
And here's what's coming back from that. If any of you guys play GTA 4, you guys remember the fake television shows? They're returning, by the way, and many of you probably know this. Do you remember Republican Space Rangers?
I do remember.
That was great. It's coming back. They're doing new episodes of that. And the fact that people are excited about watching a fake television show in a video game, I think, says to the level of writing that Rockstar does.
Oh, and speaking of fictional... Okay.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing. That's all I want to say. Okay, go on.
Alright. And speaking of fictional media, the radio stations, Rockstar released some samples of the radio stations that they have in the game, and they sound incredible. I love BioShock Infinite, but BioShock Infinite didn't have any Stevie Wonder songs. Grand Theft Auto 5 does. So, I don't want to say that because Grand Theft Auto 5 has Stevie Wonder tunes in it, then that makes it Game of the Year, but you know what?
Positive sign.
It's definitely a positive sign, and I'm going to say that Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be the Game of the Year because it has Stevie Wonder songs in it.
And also, what I hope for is, I don't know if you remember the Grand Theft Auto 4 radio stations, but they had these fake talk radio shows that were brilliant. There was a right-wing radio parody that may be one of the fun, and a left-wing radio parody, because they balance their commentary. They make fun of both the liberals and conservatives in their games, which I think is clever, and I think adds more. And this is beef to us personally. Remember, it's based in basically LA,
Yeah.
Los Santos.
Los
So
Santos.
that's cool because we're LA people, so we get to see parodies of stuff we know. I think that's even if you're not from LA, it's gonna be. I think there'll be great parodies of Hollywood and celebrities, and I hope to see that. Because I hope there would be. Wouldn't that be great, Peter? I know this would make your day if there was a hilarious parody of J.J. Abrams making fun of it. I think you would be the happiest guy in the world.
I would be very happy to see that.
And, you know, they do very blunt parodies, but they are really tearing stuff anew on, really.
I mean, the Grand Theft Auto games have always been a cultural lampoon, I guess.
Yeah.
They've always satirized current culture.
I wonder if they're going to do something with Obama in there. That could be interesting, though.
Yeah, I mean, who knows with them? It's a big game. That they said that there's more than 100 hours of gameplay in the whole game. So there's all kind of
There's going
things.
to be a lot of cool stuff
Just-
to do.
I'm super excited, and we've been talking. Oh, excuse me, for two and a half hours.
I just want to also put you could go underwater.
Yeah, you can swim.
Honestly,
You can you can go underwater. You can
scuba dive.
fly in the skies. You can do fucking
You pretty much
whatever.
It's like they almost went back to the San Andreas big do everything world, and I think
Yeah, I mean the game is just sort of, Alex, what do you want to do? Anything you want, fuck it. Okay, yeah, just do whatever you goddamn please. You know, it's all up to you. Have fun, have a blast. We're super excited. We're super tired because we've been talking for 2.5 hours straight. Good night. That's Alex to my left. I'm Peter. You know what?
peace out, guys, and we will see you next time.
And we are done. Good night. I love you.